Welcome, dreamer, to a valley where whispers of magic linger in the morning mist. Picture yourself stepping softly through a forest, the air cool and alive with possibility, as the sun weaves golden threads through the trees. This is Lila's tale, a journey of creation and wonder, where every step hums with the promise of discovery. Let your heart open to the Manor's call and join her in a world where dreams come alive. Lila's sneakers crunched softly on the pine needles carpeting the forest floor. The morning sun filtered through the canopy, casting golden flecks across her path as she wandered farther from her family's campsite. Her parents were still asleep in their tent, the campfire reduced to a faint wisp of smoke. Lila, restless and curious, had slipped away with her stuffed fox, Finn, tucked under her arm. The valley felt alive with possibility, its misty air humming with whispers she couldn't quite hear. She paused by a gnarled oak, its roots sprawling like the fingers of an ancient giant. Finn's button eyes glinted in the light, and Lila hugged him closer, her fingers brushing his soft amber fur. "What do you think, Finn?" she whispered. "There's something out here, isn't there?" She didn't expect an answer. Finn was her silent companion, her confidant through countless bedtime stories, but the air seemed to shimmer as if the valley itself was listening. A faint path wound through the trees, barely visible beneath a tangle of ferns. Lila followed it, her heart quickening with each step. The path dipped into a clearing, and there, nestled in a sea of wildflowers, stood a manor. Its stone walls were weathered, ivy crawling up their sides like green veins. Tall, arched windows reflected the sky, some cracked, others draped in cobwebs. A crumbling fountain sat in the courtyard, its basin filled with moss. The manor looked both grand and forgotten, as if it had been waiting for someone to find it. Lila's breath caught. "Finn, look at this place," she said, stepping into the courtyard. The wildflowers brushed her ankles, their petals soft as silk. She set Finn on a low stone wall, adjusting his floppy ears. "It's like something out of a fairy tale." To her surprise, Finn twitched. His head tilted and his stitched mouth curved into a grin. "A fairy tale, huh?" he said, his voice warm and slightly cheeky. "I'd say it's more like a dream you didn't know you were having." Lila froze, her eyes wide. "Finn, you're talking." She reached out, half expecting him to be still, but Finn hopped off the wall, landing lightly on the grass. His tail swished, and he gave her a playful nudge with his snout. "Seems like I am," he said, glancing around. "This place must be special. Stuffed foxes don't just start chatting anywhere, you know." He trotted toward the fountain, sniffing the air. "Smells like magic. Old magic." Lila's heart raced, but a smile spread across her face. If Finn could come to life, then this manor was no ordinary place. She followed him, her sneakers sinking into the soft earth. The courtyard was vast, bordered by overgrown hedges and a crumbling archway that led to the manor's entrance. A breeze stirred the wildflowers, carrying the scent of lavender and damp stone. Somewhere nearby, a brook babbled, its sound as soothing as a lullaby. "Careful where you step," Finn said, pausing by a patch of dandelions. "This place looks like it's been asleep for years." He pawed at a vine curling around the fountain, revealing a carved stone fish, its mouth dry and silent. "Wonder who lived here?" Before Lila could answer, a soft hoot drifted from above. She looked up to see an owl perched on the archway, her feathers a blend of silver and brown. Her round eyes glowed faintly, like twin moons in the daylight. "Someone who dreamed deeply," the owl said, her voice low and melodic. She spread her wings and glided down, landing on the fountain's edge. "Welcome, Lila. Welcome, Finn." Lila's mouth opened, but no words came. Finn, however, was unfazed. "Well, hello there," he said, tilting his head. "You know our names? Care to share yours?" The owl's eyes crinkled, as if smiling. "I am Willow," she said. "I've watched over this manor for many years, waiting for someone new to wake it." She turned to Lila, her gaze gentle but piercing. "You've come at the right time, child. This place was once a haven for dreamers, artists, poets, musicians, but it's been silent too long." Lila stepped closer, her curiosity outweighing her surprise. "What happened to it?" she asked. "Why is it so forgotten?" Willow's wings rustled. "That's a story for another moment," she said. "For now, know that the manor lives through those who care for it. It's a place where dreams take root, but only if you help them grow." She nodded toward the courtyard, where vines choked the hedges and weeds sprouted between the cobblestones. "Will you stay a while, Lila? Will you help bring it back?" Lila glanced at Finn, who raised an eyebrow. "Sounds like a lot of work," he muttered, but his tail wagged. "Still, I'm game if you are." "I want to," Lila said, her voice steady. She looked around, imagining the courtyard alive with color, the fountain sparkling, the hedges trimmed. "It feels, I want to," Lila said, her voice steady. She looked around, imagining the courtyard alive with color, the fountain sparkling, the hedges trimmed. "It feels like it's been waiting for me." Willow's eyes softened. "Then begin here," she said. "The courtyard is the manor's welcome. Clear its paths, and you'll find your way deeper." She tilted her head, listening to the breeze. "Others will join you soon. The manor always calls those it needs." Lila knelt by the fountain, brushing moss from its edge. The stone was cool under her fingers, and she felt a faint hum, like a heartbeat buried deep in the earth. Finn hopped onto the fountain, peering into the empty basin. "No water," he said. "Bet it was pretty when it flowed." "It will be again," Lila said, standing. She scanned the courtyard, noticing a pile of broken branches near the hedges. "Let's start with those. We can clear a path to the manor's door." Finn scampered ahead, tugging at a vine with his teeth. "You're the boss," he said, his voice muffled. "But don't blame me if we find a dragon under all this mess." Lila laughed, the sound echoing softly in the courtyard. She grabbed a branch, pulling it free from the tangle. The work felt good, purposeful, like piecing together a puzzle. Willow watched from the fountain, her presence calming. The sun climbed higher, warming Lila's shoulders, and the wildflowers swayed as if cheering her on. As she worked, Lila noticed a narrow path leading from the courtyard to a glass structure half hidden by ivy. It looked like a greenhouse, its panes cloudy but glinting in the light. She paused, brushing dirt from her hands. "Finn, look," she said, pointing. "What's that?" Finn bounded over, his ears perked. "Greenhouse, maybe?" he said. "Bet it's full of more vines, or treasure, or both." Willow glided to Lila's side. "A place where life begins," she said. "Go, explore. The manor will show you what it needs." Lila nodded, her heart light with anticipation. She lifted Finn, tucking him under her arm, and stepped toward the greenhouse path. The wildflowers parted, as if inviting her forward, and the brook's song grew clearer, a gentle guide into the Manor's next secret. Lila stepped carefully along the narrow path, the wildflowers brushing her legs like a gentle welcome. Finn, tucked under her arm, wriggled free and trotted ahead, his amber fur catching the sunlight. The greenhouse loomed closer, its glass panes clouded with age, ivy weaving through the iron framework like threads in a tapestry. The air grew warmer, carrying the faint scent of earth and something sweeter, perhaps flowers long forgotten. The brook's babble followed them, a soothing undercurrent to the valley's quiet hum. "Looks like a jungle in there," Finn said, pausing at the greenhouse door. The glass was streaked with dirt, but faint shapes of overgrown plants pressed against the panes from within. He nudged the door with his snout, but it didn't budge. Stuck or locked. Bet it's hiding something good. Lila ran her fingers along the door's rusty handle, feeling a faint warmth in the metal, as if the greenhouse itself was alive. "Let's find a way in," she said, her voice soft but determined. She circled the structure, Finn scampering at her heels, his tail flicking with curiosity. The ivy was thick, but as Lila parted it, she spotted a small gap where a pane had cracked, leaving just enough room to slip through. "Careful," Finn warned, his button eyes narrowing. Could be spiders, or ghosts, or spider ghosts. Lila laughed, the sound easing the tension in her chest. "I'll take my chances," she said, kneeling to peer through the gap. The greenhouse was a tangle of vines and wilted leaves, but shafts of sunlight pierced the gloom, illuminating clusters of dried flower buds clinging to their stems. She squeezed through the gap, her sweater catching briefly on the jagged glass. Finn followed, landing lightly on the mossy floor inside. The air was humid, thick with the scent of soil and decay, but beneath it lingered a promise of life. Lila's sneakers sank into the soft ground as she stepped forward, her eyes tracing the rows of planter beds, their edges barely visible under layers of overgrowth. Broken pots lay scattered, and a rusty watering can rested in a corner, tipped on its side. The greenhouse felt like a sleeping giant, waiting for someone to whisper it awake. "Wow," Lila breathed, brushing a vine from her path. This place must have been beautiful once. She imagined rows of blooming flowers, their petals vibrant against the glass, and gardeners tending them with care. The thought made her heart ache. She wanted to see it like that again. Finn hopped onto a planter, sniffing a shriveled stem. "Beautiful, maybe, but it's a mess now," he said. "Where do we even start?" He pawed at the vine, which snapped with a dry crack, revealing a tiny green bud hidden beneath. "Huh. Guess there's still some life in here." A soft rustling came from the far end of the greenhouse, near a pile of overturned pots. Lila froze, her pulse quickening. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. Finn's ears perked, and he crouched low, his tail still. "Probably just the wind," he muttered, but his voice lacked conviction. The rustling grew louder, and a small, spiky shape emerged from the shadows, a hedgehog, its quills dusted with dirt, its dark eyes blinking up at them. It froze, curling slightly, then unrolled when Lila smiled. "Hello," Lila said gently, kneeling to its level. "We're not here to hurt you. I'm Lila, and this is Finn." The hedgehog sniffed the air, its nose twitching. "Bramble," it said, its voice shy but clear, like the patter of rain on leaves. I live here, sort of. I dig under the roots, where it's safe." It glanced at the tangled vines, its tiny paws fidgeting. "It's not what it used to be." Finn tilted his head. "You've been here a while then. Know anything about this place?" Bramble nodded, uncurling fully. "The greenhouse was the heart of the Manor's gardens," he said. "People grew flowers that glowed at night, herbs that sang when you touched them. But when the dreamers left, it all faded." His eyes met Lila's, hopeful yet hesitant. "Are you here to fix it?" Lila's chest warmed at the question. "We're going to try," she said. "Will you help us, Bramble?" The hedgehog's quills quivered, and he gave a small nod. "I can dig," he said. "I'm good at finding things buried under the mess." He shuffled toward a planter, his paws scraping at the soil. "There's tools here somewhere. I've seen them." Lila and Finn followed, their footsteps soft on the mossy floor. Bramble's digging revealed a rusty trowel, its handle worn but sturdy. Lila picked it up, feeling its weight in her hand. "Perfect," she said, scanning the greenhouse. "Let's start clearing these vines. If we free the plants, maybe they'll start growing again." Finn leapt to a low shelf, tugging at a vine with his teeth. "On it," he said, his voice muffled. "But if I get tangled, you're cutting me loose." Lila grinned, using the trowel to loosen the soil around a planter, pulling away brittle stems to reveal more green buds beneath. Bramble worked nearby, his tiny paws unearthing a pair of pruning shears half buried in the dirt. The greenhouse seemed to sigh as they worked, the air growing lighter, the sunlight brighter through the clouded panes. Lila's hands moved steadily, her focus narrowing to the rhythm of digging and clearing. The vines were stubborn, but each one removed felt like a small victory, uncovering more of the planter beds and the delicate stems waiting beneath. Finn's playful chatter and Bramble's quiet determination filled the space, blending with the brook's distant song. As Lila pruned a thick vine, she noticed a faint glow from the soil, a cluster of tiny bulbs, their tips shimmering like stars. "Bramble, look," she said, brushing the dirt away. The bulbs pulsed softly as if responding to her touch. Bramble's eyes widened. "Moonflowers," he said. "They used to light the greenhouse at night. If we care for them, they'll bloom again." He dug around the bulbs, loosening the soil with care. "The Manor likes it when you try. It remembers." Lila's heart swelled. She glanced at Finn, who was wrestling with a particularly stubborn vine. "Hear that, Finn? We're waking it up." Yeah, Finn said, spitting out a leaf. "But let's not get too dreamy. We've got a jungle to tame." His tone was teasing, but his tail wagged, betraying his excitement. The trio worked in harmony, the greenhouse slowly transforming. The planter beds emerged from the chaos, their edges sharp and clear. The moonflower bulbs glowed brighter, and a few other plants, herbs with silvery leaves, vines with tiny buds, began to unfurl, as if stretching after a long sleep. Lila's arms ached, but the work felt right, like she was part of something bigger. As they cleared the last of the vines from the central planter, Bramble paused, his nose twitching. "There's something else," he said, digging deeper. His paws uncovered a small locked chest, its wood carved with swirling patterns. Lila knelt beside it, tracing the carvings, which seemed to shift under her fingers. "What's in it?" Finn asked, hopping closer. Treasure? Secrets? A map to more work? Bramble shook his head. I don't know, he said. It's been here as long as I have, but it's locked, and I've never found the key. Lila's fingers lingered on the chest, a spark of curiosity igniting in her chest. We'll find it, she said, her voice steady. She stood, brushing dirt from her knees, and looked toward the greenhouse door, now visible through the cleared vines. Maybe there's more to discover inside the manor, something that'll help us open it. Finn tilted his head, his eyes glinting. Inside, huh? Hope it's got fewer vines and more snacks? Bramble's quills rustled, a shy smile crossing his face. I'll come, he said, if you think I can help. Lila nodded, her heart light with the growing sense of purpose. Let's go, she said, leading the way toward the greenhouse door. The manor's stone walls loomed beyond, their windows catching the midday sun, and Lila felt a pull, as if the manor itself was calling her deeper into its secrets. Lila pushed open the greenhouse door, its hinges creaking softly as it swung outward. The manor's stone walls rose before her, their weathered surface glowing in the midday sun. Finn trotted at her side, his amber fur dusted with dirt from their greenhouse work, while Bramble shuffled behind, his quills rustling with each cautious step. The locked chest they'd found lingered in Lila's mind, its carved patterns sparking a curiosity that urged her deeper into the manor's secrets. The brook's gentle babble followed them, blending with the rustle of wildflowers in the courtyard, a calming chorus that made the air feel alive. Big place, Finn said, craning his neck to peer at the manor's arched windows. Bet it's got 100 rooms all full of mysteries, or dust, probably dust. His button eyes glinted with mischief, but Lila caught the excitement in his swishing tail. Bramble's nose twitched, his dark eyes scanning the stone steps leading to the manor's entrance. It's grand, he said softly. I've only ever seen it from the outside. The greenhouse was safe, but in there... He hesitated, curling slightly, then straightened. You'll need me, won't you? Lila knelt, offering a reassuring smile. We do, Bramble. You're already part of this. She stood, brushing dirt from her hands. Let's find that key. Something tells me it's waiting for us inside. The manor's double doors were heavy, carved with faded vines and flowers that mirrored the greenhouse's carvings. Lila pushed, and they opened with a low groan, revealing a vast entrance hall. Dust motes danced in the sunlight streaming through cracked windows, illuminating a marble floor streaked with grime. A grand staircase spiraled upward, its banister draped in cobwebs, and several doorways branched off into shadowy corridors. The air was cool, scented with old wood and a faint trace of something sweeter, like forgotten perfume. Wow, Lila whispered, her voice echoing faintly. She stepped inside, her sneakers soft on the marble. Finn bounded ahead, sniffing a tarnished chandelier that hung lopsided from the ceiling. Bramble stayed close, his tiny claws clicking as he surveyed the hall. Fancy, Finn said, nudging a fallen crystal from the chandelier. Bet this place threw some wild parties. Wonder where the snack table was. He grinned, but his ears perked at a faint sound, a soft thump from a corridor to the right. Lila heard it too, her heart quickening. What was that? She asked, moving toward the corridor. The sound came again, rhythmic, like something hopping. Bramble curled slightly, but Finn trotted forward, undaunted. "Sounds like company," Finn said. "Let's say hello." The corridor was lined with faded portraits, their frames tilted and dusty. At its end stood a heavy wooden door, its surface carved with musical notes and instruments, a harp, a flute, a piano. The thumping grew louder, and as Lila approached, the door rattled slightly, as if something was pushing from the other side. She reached for the handle, but it wouldn't turn. Locked. "Another lock," Lila said, frowning. She traced the carvings, feeling a faint warmth under her fingers, like the greenhouse chest. The key for the chest might be for this too. Before Finn could reply, a blur of motion darted from the shadows. A hare, her fur a soft gray speckled with white, her long ears twitching. She skidded to a stop, her bright eyes wide with surprise. "Oh!" she exclaimed, her voice bright and quick. "You're not ghosts, you're people. Well, mostly." She glanced at Finn and Bramble, her whiskers quivering with excitement. "I'm Clover. I've been trying to get into that room forever." Lila smiled, charmed by Clover's energy. "I'm Lila, and this is Finn and Bramble. We're trying to open it too. Do you know where the key is?" Clover hopped in place, her paws tapping the floor. "Not exactly," she said. "But I've explored every nook of this hall. If there's a key, I bet it's close. That room's special. Sometimes I hear music through the door even though it's locked." She tilted her head, her ears flopping. "You're fixing the manor, aren't you? I can help. I'm great at organizing." Finn raised an eyebrow. "Organizing, huh? Hope you're good at finding keys, too." He sniffed the door, then glanced upward. "What's that sparkly thing up there?" Lila followed his gaze to the corridor's ceiling, where a small chandelier hung, its crystals catching the light. Among them, something glinted brighter, a tiny golden shape. Before she could speak, a faint glow zipped past, like a star falling sideways. It was a firefly, its body pulsing with soft green light. It hovered near the chandelier, its wings a blur. "Whoa!" Finn said, his tail wagging. "That's no ordinary bug." The firefly darted closer, circling Lila's head before landing on Clover's ear. "Name's Ember," it said, its voice high and playful, like a chime. "Saw you poking around. That's the key up there, but it's stuck in the crystals. I've tried nabbing it, but it's tricky." Ember's glow pulsed, illuminating Clover's fur. "You lot seem fun. Mind if I join?" Lila's heart lifted. "Please do," she said. "Can you get the key down?" Ember zipped upward, her light dancing across the chandelier. "Watch this," she said. She weaved through the crystals, her tiny body nudging the golden key. It wobbled, then fell, glinting as it dropped. Lila caught it, her fingers closing around its warm, smooth surface. The key was small, shaped like a treble clef, its edges worn but intricate. "Nice catch!" Clover cheered, hopping higher. Bramble uncurled, his eyes wide with awe, while Finn gave an approving nod. Lila approached the music room door, her pulse quickening. She slid the key into the lock, and with a soft click, the door swung open. A wave of sound greeted them, a gentle melody, like a lullaby played on invisible strings. The room was vast, its walls lined with shelves of sheet music, their pages yellowed but intact. A grand piano sat in the center, its keys gleaming despite a layer of dust. Violins and flutes rested on stands, their strings and reeds trembling faintly as if playing themselves. The air shimmered, the melody weaving through the room like a living thing. "It's alive," Lila whispered, stepping inside. The floor was parquet, scuffed but elegant, and tall windows let in soft light, filtered through dusty curtains. The music swelled, then softened as if welcoming them. Clover bounded to the piano, her paws brushing the keys. "It's been playing on its own," she said. "But it's lonely. Needs someone to join in." She glanced at Lila, her eyes bright. "Do you play?" Lila hesitated, her fingers brushing the key in her pocket. "A little," she said. "My mom taught me some songs." She approached the piano, the melody guiding her like a friend. Finn hopped onto a chair, his ears perked, while Bramble curled up nearby, his quills relaxed. Ember hovered above, her glow casting tiny rainbows on the piano's surface. "This is wild," Finn said, his voice hushed. "A room that sings by itself. What's next? Dancing furniture?" Ember giggled, her light flickering. "Stick around, Fox. This manor's full of surprises." Lila sat at the piano, her fingers hovering over the keys. The melody paused, as if waiting. She pressed a key, and a clear note rang out, blending with the room's music. The violins hummed, their strings vibrating, and a flute joined in, its sound soft as a breeze. Lila played a simple tune, one her mom used to hum, and the room responded, the instruments harmonizing in a gentle, soothing symphony. The music seemed to stir the manor itself. Outside, Lila glimpsed flowers blooming in the courtyard, their petals unfurling as if drawn by the melody. Bramble's eyes shone, and Clover swayed, her ears flopping rhythmically. Finn's tail tapped the chair, and Ember's glow pulsed in time with the music. "This is it," Lila said, her voice barely audible over the melody. "This is what the manor needs, us bringing it back to life." She played on, the music wrapping around them like a warm blanket, and the room felt less lonely, its dust and shadows softening in the light. As the melody faded, Lila noticed a small table near the window, covered in sheet music and a dusty metronome. Something glinted beneath the papers, a clue, perhaps, to the chest's contents or the manor's deeper secrets. She paused, her fingers lingering on the keys, and glanced at her friends. "Let's clean this room," she said. "Maybe we'll find more answers." Clover hopped forward, her energy infectious. "I'll organize the music," she said. "We'll make this place sing even louder." Ember darted to the table, her light illuminating the glinting object, and Bramble shuffled closer, ready to dig through the dust. Lila stood, the key warm in her pocket, and felt the manor's heartbeat, stronger now, urging them to continue. The music room glowed softly in the midday light, its tall windows casting dappled patterns across the parquet floor. Lila stood by the grand piano, her fingers still tingling from the melody she'd played, the notes lingering in the air like a whispered promise. The violins and flutes on their stands hummed faintly, their strings and reeds vibrating as if eager to sing again. Finn lounged on a dusty chair, his amber tail flicking, while Bramble curled near the piano, his quills relaxed. Clover hopped from shelf to shelf, her gray fur catching the light as she scanned the yellowed sheet music. Ember's green glow darted above, illuminating the small table where something glinted beneath a pile of papers. "This place is something else," Finn said, his voice hushed but playful. Instruments playing themselves, flowers popping up outside. What's next? A singing chandelier? He glanced at the ceiling, where a tarnished chandelier hung, its crystals dull but catching Ember's light. Clover paused, her long ears twitching. "It's the Manor," she said, her voice bright with excitement. "It's waking up because we're here. Lila's music did that." She bounded to the table, nudging a sheet of music with her nose. "Let's make this room shine. The more we fix, the more it'll sing." Lila nodded, her heart warm with purpose. "You're right," she said, brushing dust from the piano's keys. "Let's clean it up. Maybe we'll find something about that chest, or the Manor's secrets." She glanced at the glinting object on the table, her curiosity sparking. Bramble uncurled, his dark eyes bright. "I can help," he said softly. "I'm good at sorting small things, like papers or dust." His quills rustled, and he shuffled toward the table, his tiny paws ready to work. Ember zipped down, her glow pulsing. "I'll light the way," she said, her chime-like voice playful. "Those shelves are dark, and I bet there's treasures hiding in the dust." She hovered near a shelf, her light revealing stacks of sheet music, their titles faded but elegant. Lila took a deep breath, the air scented with old paper and the faint sweetness of blooming flowers outside. "Okay," she said. "Clover, you organize the sheet music. Bramble, help her sort the papers on the table. Finn, can you check the instruments? Make sure they're okay. Ember, keep lighting the dark spots. I'll start with the piano and windows." Finn hopped off the chair, his ears perked. "Bossy, aren't you?" he teased, but he trotted to a violin stand, sniffing the strings. "Fine, but if these start playing polkas, I'm out." His tail wagged, betraying his enthusiasm. The group set to work, their movements blending into a quiet rhythm. Lila found a soft cloth in a drawer and began wiping the piano, its black surface gleaming as the dust fell away. Each key shone like polished ivory, and as she cleaned, she pressed a few, coaxing soft notes that rippled through the room. The violins answered with a gentle hum, and the flutes sighed, their melody weaving a soothing tapestry. Clover darted between shelves, her paws deftly sorting sheet music into neat piles. "This one's a waltz," she said, nudging a page. "And this, oh, a lullaby. We'll have a concert in no time." Her energy was infectious, her hops keeping time with the faint music. Bramble worked at the table, his tiny paws carefully lifting papers. "These are old," he murmured, his voice like a soft breeze. "Songs from long ago. Look, some have drawings." He uncovered a sketch of the manor, its gardens lush and vibrant, with a note scrawled in the margin. "The heart sings when we do." Lila glanced over, her pulse quickening, but Bramble was already sorting again, his focus unwavering. Ember's glow danced across the shelves, revealing hidden corners. "Found a feather quill," she chirped, nudging it toward Clover. "Bet someone wrote these songs with it." Her light flickered, casting rainbows on the walls, and the room felt warmer, as if the manor was breathing with them. Finn, meanwhile, pawed gently at a violin's strings, his nose twitching. "This one's out of tune," he said, then tilted his head. "Or maybe it's supposed to sound like that. Music's weird." He moved to a flute, blowing softly across its reed. A clear note rang out, startling him. "Okay, that was cool," he admitted, his tail wagging faster. Lila smiled, her cloth gliding over the piano's curves. The room was transforming, its dust and shadows giving way to light and sound. She moved to the windows, pulling back the heavy curtains. Dust billowed, but sunlight poured in, illuminating the courtyard outside. The wildflowers they'd seen earlier were now joined by vibrant roses and lilies, their petals unfurling as if dancing to the music room's melody. Lila's breath caught. The manor was responding, its magic growing stronger. "Guys, look outside," she said, her voice soft with awe. Clover bounded to the window, her eyes wide, while Bramble shuffled over, his quills quivering. Finn and Ember joined them, the firefly's glow blending with the sunlight. "It's beautiful," Clover whispered, her ears flopping. "Your music did that, Lila. It's like the Manor's singing back." Bramble nodded, his voice barely audible. "It remembers how to be alive." Finn tilted his head, his usual cheekiness softened. "Okay, I'll admit it," he said. "This is pretty amazing, but don't let it go to your head, Lila." He nudged her leg, his grin returning. Lila laughed, her heart light. She returned to the piano, unable to resist its pull. "Let's see what else it can do," she said, sitting on the bench. Her fingers found the keys, and she played the lullaby again, slower this time, letting each note linger. The instruments joined in, their sounds richer now, as if the cleaning had freed their voices. The violins sang, the flutes whispered, and the room filled with a melody that felt like a warm embrace. Outside, the flowers bloomed brighter, their colors vivid against the courtyard's stone. A vine near the window stirred, its leaves unfurling, and Lila glimpsed a butterfly, its wings shimmering, flitting among the roses. The Manor's heartbeat pulsed stronger, a rhythm she felt in her chest, urging her to keep going. As the melody faded, Lila's eyes drifted to the table, where Bramble had uncovered the glinting object, a small silver locket, its surface etched with a flower like those blooming outside. She picked it up, feeling its warmth, and opened it to find a tiny painting of the Manor's gardens, with a note, "To the maze, where paths lead to the heart." Her pulse quickened. The maze, another piece of the Manor's puzzle. "Bramble, you found something," Lila said, showing the locket to the group. Clover hopped closer, her whiskers twitching, while Ember's glow illuminated the painting's details. Finn sniffed the locket, his ears perked. "A maze, huh?" Finn said. "Sounds like more work, but I'm guessing you're already hooked, Lila." Lila nodded, her fingers closing around the locket. "It's out in the gardens," she said. "We've started here, but there's more to do. The Manor's showing us the way." She glanced at the piano, its keys gleaming, and felt a surge of determination. The music room was alive again, but the maze held the next step. Clover's eyes sparkled. "A maze," she said, hopping in place. "I'm great at paths. Let's go explore." Her energy rallied the group, and Bramble uncurled fully, his shyness fading. "I'll dig if we need it," he said, his voice steady. Ember zipped upward, her glow brightening. "I'll light the way," she chirped. "Mazes are perfect for fireflies." Finn stretched, his tail flicking. "Fine, but if we get lost, I'm blaming Clover," he said, his grin wide. Lila tucked the locket in her pocket, the key beside it, and led the way to the door. The music room's melody followed them, soft but clear, blending with the brook's babble outside. As they stepped into the corridor, Lila glanced back, the room glowing with new life. The Manor's heartbeat pulsed stronger, guiding them toward the gardens, where the maze waited with its secrets. Lila led her friends out of the Manor's entrance hall, the music room's melody fading into a soft echo behind them. The courtyard greeted them with a burst of color. Roses and lilies bloomed vibrantly, their petals swaying in the gentle breeze, a testament to the magic they'd awakened. Finn trotted at Lila's side, his amber fur catching the sunlight, while Clover bounded ahead, her gray ears flopping with excitement. Bramble shuffled close, his quills rustling, and Ember's green glow zipped above, lighting their path. The silver locket in Lila's pocket felt warm, its note, to the maze, where paths lead to the heart, urging them toward the gardens. The air was sweet with the scent of wildflowers and damp earth, the brooks babble a constant calming presence. Lila's sneakers crunched on the cobblestone path as they passed the fountain they'd cleared earlier, its stone fish now gleaming in the sun, though still dry. Clover paused, her whiskers twitching. "The maze is that way," she said, pointing to a tangle of overgrown hedges beyond the courtyard. "I've peeked at it before, but it's a mess. Paths all blocked, vines everywhere." Her eyes sparkled. "But I love a challenge." Finn tilted his head, his button eyes narrowing. "A maze, huh? Hope you got a good sense of direction, Clover, or we'll be wandering till midnight." His tail wagged, betraying his eagerness despite the teasing. Bramble's nose twitched, his voice soft. "I can dig under the hedges if we get stuck," he said. "Sometimes the ground hides the way." He glanced at Lila, his dark eyes steady, as if drawing courage from her presence. Ember darted forward, her glow pulsing. "No getting lost with me around," she chirped, her chime-like voice bright. "I'll light the paths. Mazes are my kind of fun." She zipped toward the hedges, her light cutting through the shadows cast by the towering greenery. Lila smiled, her heart light with the group's enthusiasm. "Let's find it," she said, clutching the locket. The maze loomed ahead, its hedges tall and wild, their leaves tangled with vines and thorns. A narrow entrance gaped between two gnarled branches, barely wide enough for Lila to slip through. She stepped forward, the others close behind, and the air grew cooler, the brook's sound muffled by the dense foliage. Inside, the maze was a world of green, its paths twisting under a canopy of leaves. The ground was uneven, strewn with roots and fallen branches, and vines draped across the hedges, blocking some roots entirely. Ember's glow danced ahead, illuminating the first fork in the path. "Left or right?" she asked, hovering above a tangle of thorns. Clover hopped forward, sniffing the air. "Right," she said confidently. "The breeze feels stronger that way. Bet it leads to the center." She bounded down the path, her paws nimble on the uneven ground. Finn raised an eyebrow. "Hope you're right, or we're circling forever," he said, trotting after her. Lila followed, her fingers brushing the locket while Bramble shuffled behind, his eyes scanning the ground. The maze felt alive, its hedges rustling as if whispering secrets, and Lila's pulse quickened with anticipation. The path twisted, narrowing at times, forcing Lila to duck under vines or step over roots. Ember's light guided them, casting soft shadows that danced on the hedges. Clover led with purpose, pausing at each fork to sniff or listen, her ears twitching like antennae. Finn kept up a stream of chatter, his voice a comforting thread in the maze's quiet. "Bet there's a treasure at the center," he said. "Or a really big thorn, probably a thorn." Bramble's quills rustled as he paused by a particularly thick hedge. "Something's under here," he said, his voice barely audible. He began to dig, his tiny paws scooping earth with surprising speed. Lila knelt beside him, her curiosity piqued, while Clover and Finn circled back. "What is it?" Lila asked, brushing dirt from her hands. Bramble's digging revealed a flat stone, its surface etched with a swirling pattern, a spiral like the carvings on the greenhouse chest. He kept digging, uncovering more stones, each one fitting into a larger design buried beneath the maze's floor. "It's a path," Bramble said, his eyes wide. "Not the dirt one we're on, a stone one, hidden." He dug deeper, revealing a circular platform of interlocking stones, their patterns forming a starburst. In the center was a low, moss-covered structure, a fountain, its basin cracked but intact, its spout shaped like a blooming flower. "A fountain," Clover exclaimed, hopping onto the platform, "like the one in the courtyard, but fancier." She nudged the moss, revealing more of the stonework, its petals carved with delicate precision. Finn sniffed the basin, his tail wagging. "No water, though," he said. "Bet it was a showstopper when it worked. Probably shot sparkles or something." He glanced at Lila, his grin wide. "You gonna play a song to wake this one up, too?" Lila laughed, her fingers brushing the locket. "Maybe," she said, stepping onto the platform. The stones felt warm under her sneakers, as if the maze itself was alive, responding to their presence. "But first, let's clear it. If this is the maze's heart, we need to see it all." The group set to work, their movements steady and purposeful. Lila pulled vines from the fountain, their brittle strands snapping under her hands. Clover darted around the platform, clearing roots and twigs, her energy unwavering. Bramble dug around the stones, uncovering more of the starburst pattern, each piece fitting like a puzzle. Ember's glow illuminated the fountain's details, her light reflecting off the carved petals, making them shimmer like moonlight. The hedges seemed to sigh as they worked, their leaves parting to let in more sunlight. The maze's air grew lighter, the brook's babble clearer, as if drawn closer by their efforts. Lila's hands moved rhythmically, her focus narrowing to the task, the fountain emerging from its shroud of moss and vines. The stone patterns gleamed, their swirls and spirals echoing the locket's flower, and Lila felt the manor's heartbeat, stronger now, pulsing through the ground. As they cleared the last of the vines, a faint trickle sounded, a drip, then a steady flow. Water bubbled from the fountain's spout, slow at first, then stronger, filling the basin with a clear, sparkling stream. The starburst stones glistened, their patterns catching the light, and the maze felt alive, its paths brighter, its hedges greener. "It's working!" Clover cheered, hopping in a circle. "We found the heart!" Her ears flopped wildly, and she splashed a paw in the water, giggling. Bramble's quills quivered, his shy smile wide. "The maze wanted us to find it," he said, his voice soft but certain. "It's happy." Ember zipped above the fountain, her glow pulsing in time with the water's flow. "Pretty fancy," she chirped. "Bet it's got more secrets. Mazes always do." Finn tilted his head, his eyes glinting. "Nice work, team," he said, "but don't get too cozy. Something tells me this fountain's gonna bring company." He glanced at the paths leading from the platform, where shadows shifted, as if the maze was stirring. Lila knelt by the fountain, her fingers trailing in the cool water. The locket's note echoed in her mind, where paths lead to the heart. This was part of it, but there was more to discover. She stood, her gaze following the maze's paths, which seemed clearer now, their twists less daunting. "Let's explore a bit more," she said. "The fountain's awake, but the maze might show us something else." Clover nodded, her whiskers twitching. "I'll scout ahead," she said, already hopping toward a path. Bramble shuffled closer, ready to dig, while Ember's light flared, guiding the way. Finn trotted beside Lila, his grin wide. "More exploring?" he said. "You're gonna turn us into maze experts." His tail wagged, and Lila felt a surge of warmth for her friends, their presence making the manor feel like home. As they stepped off the platform, the fountain's water sparkled behind them, its flow a gentle song blending with the brook's. The maze's paths stretched ahead, inviting them deeper, and Lila sensed the manor's magic, ready to reveal its next secret. The maze's paths stretched before Lila and her friends, their twists softened by the fountain's gentle glow behind them. The starburst stones sparkled under the trickling water, casting flecks of light onto the hedges, which seemed to lean closer, as if listening. Lila walked with Finn at her side, his amber fur brushing her leg, while Clover hopped ahead, her gray ears perked for new discoveries. Bramble shuffled along, his quills catching the occasional leaf, and Ember's green glow danced above, illuminating the maze's curves. The air was warm, scented with wet stone and blooming flowers, the brook's babble weaving through the silence like a lullaby. The fountain's song grew louder, its water splashing rhythmically in the basin. Lila glanced back, her fingers brushing the locket in her pocket, its note, "To the maze, where paths lead to the heart," still echoing in her mind. The manor felt alive, its magic pulsing stronger with each step they took. Clover paused at a fork, her whiskers twitching. "This way," she said, choosing a path where the hedges parted slightly, revealing a glimpse of open sky. "I smell something. Grass, water, maybe more flowers." Finn tilted his head, his button eyes glinting. "You and your nose," he said, trotting after her. "Better not lead us to a skunk." His tone was playful, but Lila noticed a flicker of unease in his glance, as if the maze's magic was starting to weigh on him. Bramble's voice came softly from behind. "The fountain's calling others," he said, his nose twitching. "I hear them. Paws, wings, little steps." He curled slightly, then uncurled, his eyes meeting Lila's. "They're coming to see." Lila's heart lifted. "More friends?" she asked, stepping onto a wider path where the hedges opened into a small clearing. The fountain's water seemed to hum, its sound carrying beyond the maze, and the clearing buzzed with new life. A sparrow fluttered down, its wings a blur, landing on a low branch. A chipmunk scurried from the shadows, its cheeks puffed with seeds, and a delicate dragonfly hovered nearby, its wings shimmering like stained glass. Their eyes fixed on Lila, curious and unafraid. Ember zipped toward the sparrow, her glow pulsing. "Well, hello," she chirped. "Heard the fountain, did you? It's been quiet around here till now." Her light flickered, welcoming the newcomers. The sparrow tilted its head, its voice soft but clear. "I'm Pip," it said. "The water woke us. This place, it used to sing with dreams." It fluffed its feathers, glancing at the chipmunk, who nodded. "I'm Nutmeg," the chipmunk said, dropping a seed at Lila's feet. The manor was a haven once. Artists painted under these hedges, poets wrote by the brook, the fountain danced for them. Her tiny paws fidgeted, her eyes bright with memory. When they left, it all faded, but you're bringing it back." Lila knelt, her fingers brushing the seed. "We are," she said, her voice steady. "We've fixed the greenhouse, the music room, and now the fountain. The Manor's waking up." She looked at the dragonfly who hovered closer, its wings humming. "I'm Glimmer," the dragonfly said, its voice like a breeze. "I flew here when the water flowed again." The maze was a place for dreamers to wander, to find ideas in its twists. You're walking their paths. Its wings caught Ember's glow, scattering tiny rainbows across the clearing. Clover hopped forward, her ears flopping. "That's amazing," she said. "Tell us more. What was it like?" Her energy drew the animals closer, their voices blending into a soft chorus of memories. Pip chirped, perched higher. Musicians played in the courtyard, their songs making the flowers bloom. The greenhouse grew herbs that healed, flowers that glowed. The manor was alive, every room a story. Nutmeg scurried to Lila's side, her tail flicking. The pond beyond the maze was a mirror for the stars. Dreamers sailed it, sketching the reflections. The manor gave them ideas, and they gave it life. Her eyes shone, as if seeing it again. Glimmer's wings slowed, her voice dreamy. The maze was where they found their hearts. Its paths led to answers, to hopes. You found the fountain. Keep going, and you'll find more. Lila's chest warmed, the stories painting vivid pictures in her mind. She imagined the manor bustling with dreamers, their laughter echoing, their creations filling every corner. The locket felt heavier, its painting of the gardens a glimpse of that lost time. "We will," she said. "We're not stopping now." Bramble uncurled fully, his shyness fading. "The manor wants us to," he said, his voice soft but certain. "It's happy we're here." He glanced at the fountain's path, where the water's song grew stronger, drawing more rustles from the hedges. Clover bounced, her whiskers quivering. "Let's keep exploring," she said. "Maybe the pond Nutmeg mentioned is next. I bet it's as pretty as the fountain." Her enthusiasm rallied Pip, Nutmeg, and Glimmer, who nodded, ready to follow. Ember's glow flared, her chime-like voice bright. "Pond sounds fun," she said, darting toward the path. "I'll light the way. Stars in the water, huh? Let's see it." But Finn hung back, his tail still, his eyes fixed on the fountain. "Hold on," he said, his voice quieter than usual. Lila turned, catching the uncertainty in his expression. "This place is incredible, Lila, but what if it's not real? I mean, I'm a stuffed fox, talking. You're fixing a magic manor with a bunch of animals. What happens when we leave? What if it's all a dream?" The clearing fell silent, the animals' eyes shifting between Finn and Lila. Bramble curled slightly, as if the question stirred his own fears, while Clover's ears drooped, her energy dimming. Ember hovered closer, her glow softening, and Pip tilted her head, waiting for Lila's answer. Lila knelt beside Finn, her hand resting on his soft fur. "Maybe it is a dream," she said gently. "But it feels real right now, doesn't it? The fountain, the music, the flowers, they're all here because we're helping. Even if we leave, we're making something beautiful." She smiled, her voice steady. "I want to keep going. With you." Finn's button eyes searched hers, then softened. "Yeah, okay," he said, his grin returning, though smaller. "You're the boss, but don't be surprised if I wake up as a toy again." He nudged her hand, his tail flicking, and the tension eased. Clover hopped forward, her energy returning. "To the pond, then," she said, leading the way. Pip fluttered above, Nutmeg scurried alongside, and Glimmer's wings hummed, blending with Ember's glow. Bramble shuffled closer to Lila, his quills relaxed, and Finn trotted beside her, his step lighter. The maze's paths opened wider, as if the fountain's revival had cleared the way. Lila felt the manor's heartbeat, stronger now, pulsing through the ground. The stories of its glory days lingered in her mind, fueling her resolve to see it restored. The locket's warmth was a quiet guide, hinting at more secrets ahead. As they followed Clover's lead, the hedges parted, revealing a glimmer of water beyond. A pond, its surface overgrown with lilies, but catching the sunlight like a mirror. Lila's pulse quickened, the animal's stories echoing. A place for stars, for reflections, for dreams. "There it is," she said, her voice soft with awe. Clover bounded toward the pond, her paws splashing in the shallow edge. "It's gorgeous," she called, her ears flopping. "But it needs a cleanup. Look at all those lilies." Pip, Nutmeg, and Glimmer gathered near, their eyes bright, while Ember's glow illuminated the water's surface, revealing hidden shapes beneath. Finn glanced at Lila, his grin wide. "More work, huh?" he said. "Guess we're not done waking this place up." His doubt lingered, but his tail wagged, ready for the next task. Lila nodded, her fingers brushing the locket. "Let's make it shine, system. Shine like a mirror for stars." Her words carried a quiet strength, and the animals felt the sincerity behind them. Pip fluttered closer, landing lightly on a nearby hedge, her tiny claws gripping the leaves. "You're right," Pip chirped, her voice bright. "This place is real because you believe in it. That's what makes the manor sing." Nutmeg scurried forward, dropping another seed at Lila's feet. "The dreamers believe too," she said. "They made this place a home. You're doing the same." Glimmer's wings shimmered as she hovered over the pond. "Keep going," she urged. "The manor's heart is still out there, waiting for you to find it." Lila stood, her resolve strengthened by their words. The pond lay before them, its surface a tapestry of lilies and reflections, and she felt the manor's magic pulling her forward. "Let's clean it up," she said, her voice steady. "Let's make it shine again." Clover was already at the water's edge, her paws splashing as she tugged at a lily pad. "This is going to be fun," she called, her enthusiasm infectious. Pip darted to the pond, picking at stray leaves, while Nutmeg and Glimmer began clearing debris from the bank. Ember's glow illuminated the water, revealing glints of something beneath. Perhaps another clue to the manor's secrets. Finn trotted to Lila's side, his tail wagging. "All right, dreamer," he said, his grin wide. "Let's make this pond sparkle, but I'm still keeping an eye out for that wake-up call." His playful tone hid the lingering doubt, but Lila knew he was with her for now. As they moved toward the pond, the fountain's song echoed faintly, blending with the brook's babble. The manor's heartbeat pulsed through the ground, a rhythm of hope and possibility, guiding them to the next step in their journey. The pond shimmered under the afternoon sun, its surface a patchwork of lilies and reflections, catching the light like a scattered constellation. Lila stood at the water's edge, her sneakers sinking slightly into the soft earth, the locket in her pocket warm against her side. Finn trotted beside her, his amber fur flecked with maize dust, his tail wagging despite the lingering doubt in his eyes. Clover was already splashing in the shallows, her gray paws tugging at a lily pad, while Bramble shuffled nearby, his quills glistening with dew. Ember's green glow hovered over the water, illuminating hidden glints beneath, and Pip, Nutmeg, and Glimmer darted around, their tiny forms busy with purpose. The fountain's distant song blended with the brook's babble, a gentle chorus that made the manor feel alive. "This pond's a jungle," Finn said, sniffing a lily pad that bobbed near the shore. "Smells nice, though, like rain and flowers." He glanced at Lila, his grin crooked. "You sure you want to dive into this mess? Might be fish with opinions down there." Lila laughed, her heart lightened by his teasing. "It's worth it," she said, kneeling to touch the water. It was cool, rippling under her fingers, and she glimpsed a flicker of movement, perhaps a fish or something more. Nutmeg said this was a mirror for the stars. Let's make it shine again. Clover bounded over, her ears flopping, a lily pad dangling from her paw. "It's going to be beautiful," she said, her voice bright. "We'll clear these lilies, and it'll be perfect for stargazing. I'm organizing. Pip, you take the left side, Nutmeg, the right. Glimmer, help with the high leaves." She hopped back to the water, her energy rallying the group. Pip fluttered to the left bank, her wings brushing stray leaves into a pile. "On it," she chirped, her tiny beak precise. Nutmeg scurried to the right, her cheeks puffed as she carried twigs to the shore. Glimmer's dragonfly wings hummed, lifting her to the pond's center, where she nudged floating debris toward the edge. Bramble began digging at the bank, his paws unearthing roots that anchored the lilies. "I'll loosen these," he said softly, his focus steady. Ember zipped above, her glow casting soft light on the water's surface. "Look at that," she chirped, illuminating a cluster of silver fish darting beneath the lilies. "They're happy we're here. Bet they've got stories, too." Her light flickered, revealing more of the pond's depths, where something solid gleamed, a shape, too large to be a fish. Lila rolled up her sleeves, stepping into the shallows. The water lapped at her ankles, cool and inviting, and she began pulling lily pads, their roots trailing like green ribbons. Each one cleared revealed more of the pond's surface, its reflections sharpening, trees, sky, and the faint outline of the manor's towers. The work was slow but satisfying, the lilies piling up on the bank, their scent mingling with the earth's richness. Finn hopped onto a flat stone, batting at a lily pad with his paw. "This is more fun than I thought," he admitted, his tail wagging. "But if a frog starts talking, I'm hiding behind you." He tugged at the pad, splashing water, and Lila grinned, flicking a drop at him. "Careful, or you'll be swimming," she teased, her hands steady as she cleared another patch. The pond was transforming, its water clearer, its edges free of tangled roots. Bramble's digging loosened the last of the heavy lilies, and Clover's quick paws sorted the debris into neat piles. Pip, Nutmeg, and Glimmer worked in harmony, their small efforts adding up, the pond's surface now a smooth, reflective mirror. As Lila pulled a particularly stubborn lily, Ember's glow brightened, revealing the gleaming shape in the water. A small boat, its wood carved with swirling patterns like the fountain's stones. It was half submerged, caught in a web of roots, but its hull looked intact, its bow shaped like a swan's head. Lila's pulse quickened. "Look at this," she said, wading deeper, the water now at her knees. Clover bounded over, her eyes wide. "A boat!" she exclaimed, splashing closer. "It's perfect, like something dreamers would sail." She nudged the roots, trying to free it, while Pip fluttered above, her wings stirring the water. Bramble shuffled to the edge, his quills quivering. "It's old," he said, his voice soft, "but it feels alive, like the fountain." He dug at the roots, loosening them, and the boat bobbed slightly, as if eager to float. Ember hovered over the swan's head, her glow reflecting in its carved eyes. "Fancy," she chirped. "Bet it moves on its own. This manor loves surprises." Her light pulsed, and the boat shifted, its roots snapping free with a soft crack. Lila and Clover pulled together, guiding the boat to the surface. It floated gracefully, its wood gleaming despite years underwater, the swan's head glinting in the sunlight. As Lila touched its side, the boat glided forward, slow and steady, without oars or sails, as if guided by the pond's magic. The water rippled, reflecting the sky, and the boat's movement sent soft waves lapping at the shore. "It's magical," Lila whispered, stepping back to watch. The boat circled the pond, its path smooth, the swan's head tilting as if nodding to the group. Finn hopped closer, his ears perked, his doubt momentarily forgotten. "Okay, that's cool," he said, his tail wagging furiously. "Can we ride it, or is it just gonna show off?" He leaned forward, sniffing the boat, and it paused, as if inviting him aboard. Nutmeg scurried to the shore, her eyes bright. "The dreamers sailed this," she said. "They'd draw the stars' reflections, write poems on its deck. It's part of the manor's heart." Her words echoed the locket's note, and Lila felt a surge of connection to those long-gone dreamers. Glimmer's wings hummed, her voice dreamy. "It's a guide," she said. "It'll show you things in the pond, secrets maybe." She hovered over the boat, her wings casting tiny rainbows on its wood. Pip landed on Lila's shoulder, her feathers soft. "Keep it moving," she chirped. "The pond's clearer now. You'll see more with the boat." Lila nodded, her heart swelling with the pond's beauty. The lilies were gone, the water a perfect mirror, reflecting the manor's towers and the sky's deepening blue. The boat glided back to the shore, pausing near her, and she felt an urge to climb aboard to see where it would take them. But first, she glanced at her friends, their faces lit with wonder. "Let's finish cleaning," she said. "Then we'll sail it. There's something in this pond. Ember saw it. Maybe the boat will help us find it." Her voice was calm but firm, the manor's heartbeat pulsing through her, urging her forward. Clover hopped onto the bank, organizing the last of the debris. "Almost done," she said, her ears flopping. "This pond's going to be the prettiest yet." Bramble dug at the final roots, his paws steady, while Pip, Nutmeg, and Glimmer cleared stray leaves, their teamwork seamless. Ember's glow dipped lower, illuminating a glint in the pond's depths, a rectangular shape, larger than the boat, half buried in the silt. "There," she chirped, her light steady. "Something's waiting down there." Finn tilted his head, his grin wide. "Another treasure?" he said. "You're turning this into a scavenger hunt, Lila." His doubt lingered, but his excitement was clear, his tail wagging as he watched the boat. Lila stepped toward the water, the boat gliding beside her, its swan's head gleaming. "Let's find out," she said, her voice soft with anticipation. The pond's surface reflected her face, the manor's magic shimmering within it, and she knew the boat would lead them to the next piece of the puzzle. The pond's surface gleamed like a polished mirror, reflecting the manor's towers and the sky's deepening hues as the afternoon sun dipped lower. Lila stood at the water's edge, the magical boat bobbing gently beside her, its swan-shaped bow glinting with an inner light. Finn perched on a nearby stone, his amber fur catching the glow, his tail wagging despite the faint uncertainty in his button eyes. Clover hopped excitedly along the bank, her gray ears flopping, while Bramble shuffled close, his quills shimmering with pond mist. Ember's green glow illuminated the water, highlighting the rectangular shape in the depths, a chest, half buried in silt. Pip fluttered above, Nutmeg scurried along the shore, and Glimmer's dragonfly wings hummed, all drawn to the boat's quiet magic. The fountain's distant song wove through the air, blending with the brook's babble, a soothing reminder of the Manor's awakening. Lila touched the boat's side, feeling a faint hum under her fingers, as if it were alive. "It's ready," she said, her voice soft but certain. "Let's see what's down there." She glanced at her friends, their faces lit with anticipation, and stepped into the boat, the wood steady beneath her sneakers. The boat glided forward, smooth and silent, as if knowing her intent. Clover bounded onto the deck, her paws barely making a sound. "This is amazing," she said, her whiskers twitching. "It's like flying, but on water." She leaned over the edge, peering into the pond's depths, her ears perked. Bramble hesitated, then climbed aboard, his quills rustling. "It's safe, right?" he asked, his dark eyes wide. The boat rocked gently, as if reassuring him, and he settled near Lila, his paws gripping the wood. "Okay, I trust it." Finn hopped in last, his grin wide but cautious. "If this thing flips, I'm blaming you, Lila," he teased, settling beside Clover. "But I gotta admit, it's pretty cool." His tail flicked, his doubt overshadowed by the boat's graceful movement. Ember zipped above, her glow steady. "Follow my light," she chirped, hovering over the chest's glint. Pip, Nutmeg, and Glimmer stayed on the shore, their eyes following the boat, their wings and paws ready to help. The pond's water rippled, reflecting the sky's pinks and golds, and the boat glided toward the center, its swan's head tilting as if guiding them. Lila leaned forward, her hands on the boat's edge, the locket warm in her pocket. The water was clear now, the lilies gone, and Ember's light revealed the chest's details. A wooden box, its surface carved with flowers and vines, like the greenhouse chest and the maze's fountain. It was lodged in the silt, but the boat paused above it, steady as a star. "There it is," Lila said, her pulse quickening. "We need to get it up." Clover's ears twitched. "I can dive," she said, but Lila shook her head, noticing the boat's subtle shift, as if it had a plan. "Wait," Lila said. "I think the boat knows what to do." She touched the swan's head, and the boat dipped slightly, its hull brushing the water's surface. A soft hum filled the air, and the water stirred, small waves swirling around the chest. The silt loosened, and the chest began to rise, guided by an unseen force, until it broke the surface, water streaming from its carvings. "Whoa!" Finn said, his eyes wide. "This Manor doesn't mess around." He leaned closer, sniffing the chest, his tail wagging furiously. "Bet it's full of gold, or really old snacks." Bramble's quills quivered, his voice soft. "It's like the other chest," he said. "The one in the greenhouse. Maybe it's locked too." He glanced at Lila, his shyness fading in the moment's magic. The boat glided back to the shore, the chest floating beside it, as if tethered by invisible threads. Pip fluttered down, her wings brushing the chest's surface. "It's beautiful," she chirped. Nutmeg scurried closer, her cheeks puffed, and Glimmer hovered, her wings casting rainbows on the wet wood. Lila stepped onto the bank, the boat steady behind her, and knelt beside the chest. Its carvings were intricate, depicting scenes of the manor, gardens blooming, musicians playing, dreamers sketching by the pond. She traced a flower, feeling a faint warmth, and found a small lock shaped like a star. The key from the music room, still in her pocket, was a treble clef, but the locket's flower etching matched the chest's design. "It's different," she said, frowning. "We need another key." Clover hopped closer, her energy undimmed. "We'll find it," she said. "Maybe in the manor. There's got to be more rooms, right?" Her optimism was infectious, and Pip nodded, her beak tapping the chest. "Let's open it anyway," Pip said. "Maybe it's not locked." Lila pressed the lock, and to her surprise, it clicked, the lid creaking open without resistance. The chest wasn't locked after all, just waiting. Inside lay a collection of sketches and notes, their paper yellowed but preserved, as if the pond's magic had protected them. Lila lifted a sketch, her breath catching. It showed the manor in its prime, its towers gleaming, gardens bursting with color, and dreamers gathered in the courtyard, painting, writing, singing. A note was scrawled beneath. "The manor lives through creation. Every song, every sketch, every dream feeds its heart." Nutmeg's eyes shone, her voice soft. "That's it," she said. "The dreamers made the manor what it was. You're doing the same, Lila." She dropped a seed beside the chest, a small offering. Glimmer's wings slowed, her voice dreamy. "These are their dreams," she said, hovering over a sketch of the pond, a boat gliding across it. "They left them for you to find, to keep the manor alive." Lila turned the pages, finding more sketches of the greenhouse glowing with moonflowers, the music room filled with melody, the maze's fountains sparkling. One note stood out, written in elegant script. "The library holds the manor's stories. Seek it to understand." Her heart raced. The library, the next piece of the puzzle. "This is incredible," Lila said, her voice hushed. She looked at her friends, their faces reflecting her awe. "The manor's all about creativity. Every time we fix something, we're adding to it, like the dreamers did." She closed the chest, its lid clicking softly, and stood, the sketches tucked under her arm. Finn tilted his head, his grin softer now. "So we're dreamers too, huh?" he said. "Guess that's not so bad. But a library? Sounds like homework." His tail wagged, his doubt easing in the face of the chest's revelations. Clover bounced, her ears flopping. "A library," she said. "I bet it's full of books that talk or fly or something. Let's go find it." Her energy rallied the group, and Pip, Nutmeg, and Glimmer nodded, their excitement palpable. Bramble shuffled closer, his quills relaxed. "I'll dig if we need to find the way," he said, his voice steady. Ember's glow flared, her chime-like voice bright. "I'll light the shelves," she chirped. "Libraries are perfect for fireflies." Lila glanced at the boat, still gliding gently on the pond, its swan's head gleaming. "Thank you," she whispered, feeling its magic linger. The pond reflected the manor's towers, the sky now tinged with twilight, and she felt the manor's heartbeat, stronger than ever, urging them inward. "Let's go," Lila said, leading the way back through the maze. The hedges parted easily, as if the manor was guiding them, and the fountain's song followed, blending with the sketch's promise of stories waiting in the library. Finn trotted beside her, his grin wide, and the animals followed, their steps light with purpose. As they neared the manor's entrance, Lila glimpsed the courtyard's flowers, brighter now, swaying as if cheering them on. The library loomed in her mind, a place of stories and secrets, ready to reveal the manor's heart. The manor's entrance hall welcomed Lila and her friends with a soft glow, its marble floor catching the twilight streaming through cracked windows. Lila led the way, the sketches from the pawn's chest tucked under her arm, their images of dreamers and blooming gardens vivid in her mind. Finn trotted beside her, his amber fur dusted with maize pollen, his tail wagging despite the faint doubt still lingering in his button eyes. Clover bounded ahead, her gray ears flopping with excitement, while Bramble shuffled close, his quills glistening from the pond's mist. Ember's green glow darted above, illuminating the hall's cobwebbed corners, and Pip, Nutmeg, and Glimmer followed, their wings and paws adding a soft rhythm to the group's steps. The fountain's distant song and the brook's babble echoed faintly, blending with the manor's heartbeat, a pulse that urged them deeper. Lila's fingers brushed the locket in her pocket, its note about the library. The library holds the manor's stories. Seek it to understand, guiding her like a star. The sketches had revealed the manor's connection to creativity, and she felt its magic growing stronger with each discovery. "The library's this way," she said, nodding toward a wide corridor to the left, its arched doorway framed with faded carvings of books and quills. Clover hopped forward, her whiskers twitching. "A library," she said, her voice bright. "I bet the books talk or fly or glow. This manor's full of surprises." Her energy rallied the group, and Pip fluttered beside her, her sparrow wings a blur. "Books that glow?" Finn said, raising an eyebrow. "Sounds like a fire hazard." His grin was playful, but Lila caught the curiosity in his glance, as if the manor's magic was slowly winning him over. Bramble's quills rustled, his voice soft. "Libraries are quiet places," he said, "but this one, it feels alive." He glanced at Lila, his dark eyes steady, and she nodded, sensing the same spark in the air. Ember zipped ahead, her glow illuminating the corridor's dusty portraits and tarnished sconces. "Let's find it," she chirped, her chime-like voice echoing. "I'll light the shelves, perfect for a firefly." Nutmeg scurried alongside, her cheeks puffed with seeds, and Glimmer's dragonfly wings hummed, casting tiny rainbows on the walls. The corridor opened into a vast room, its ceiling soaring with faded frescoes of stars and open books. The library was a labyrinth of shelves, their dark wood sagging under the weight of countless volumes, their spines cracked but gleaming faintly, as if dusted with starlight. A spiral staircase led to a balcony lined with more shelves, and a massive window dominated one wall, its stained glass depicting a tree with branches full of glowing fruit. Dust motes danced in the twilight, and the air was thick with the scent of old paper and leather, tinged with something sweeter, like forgotten ink. "Wow," Lila whispered, stepping inside, her sneakers soft on the worn rug. The sketches felt heavier under her arm, as if drawn to this place. She set them on a nearby table, its surface carved with swirling vines, and looked around, her heart racing. Clover bounded to a shelf, her paws brushing a book's spine. "Look at these," she said, her ears perked. "They're so old, but they feel warm." She nudged a volume, and it shimmered faintly, its title glowing, Tales of the Manor's Heart. Finn sniffed the table, his tail wagging. "Fancy," he said, "but if these books start reading themselves, I'm out." He hopped onto a chair, his grin wide, though his eyes darted to the shadows as if expecting a surprise. Bramble shuffled to the table, his quills relaxed. "That one," he said, pointing to the glowing book Clover had touched. "It's different, like it's waiting." His voice was barely audible, but his certainty drew Lila's attention. Ember hovered over the book, her glow merging with its shimmer. "It's magic," she chirped. "Bet it's got stories about everything we've seen, the greenhouse, the music room, the pond." She darted to Lila, her light pulsing with excitement. Pip landed on the table, her feathers fluffed. "Open it," she urged, her voice bright. Nutmeg nodded, dropping a seed beside the sketches, and Glimmer's wings slowed, her dreamy voice adding, "It'll tell you what the manor is." Lila approached the book, her fingers tingling as she touched its cover. The title pulsed under her hand, and the book opened on its own, its pages turning with a soft rustle as if guided by an unseen breeze. The air shimmered, and a voice, warm, melodic, like a storyteller's, filled the room, reading the words that glowed on the page. In the heart of the valley, the manor was born, a haven for dreamers who sought the dawn. Its walls held their songs, its gardens their art, each creation a beat of its living heart. The library seemed to breathe, the shelves glowing brighter, the stained glass window casting colorful light across the floor. Lila's friends gathered close, their eyes wide, as the book's voice wove a tale of the manor's glory days. It spoke of musicians whose melodies made flowers bloom, painters whose canvases captured the stars, poets whose words danced in the maze. The manor thrived on their dreams, growing more vibrant with every creation, its rooms and gardens a canvas for imagination. The pages turned, revealing illustrations that moved, ink flowers blooming, a boat gliding across a pond, a fountain sparkling in the maze. One page showed the library itself, dreamers reading under glowing lamps, their ideas feeding the manor's magic. A note glowed beside it. "The manor lives as long as dreamers create. Its stories are yours to continue." Lila's heart swelled, the sketches from the pond echoing the book's tales. "This is it," she said, her voice hushed. "We're part of the manor's story now. Every time we fix something, we're dreaming too." She looked at her friends, their faces reflecting the book's glow, and felt a deep connection to the dreamers who came before. Clover's ears twitched, her energy barely contained. "We're dreamers," she said, hopping in place. "Let's keep going. There's more to fix, more stories to find." Her optimism lit the room, and Pip chirped in agreement, fluttering to a shelf. Nutmeg's eyes shone, her voice soft. "The manor's happy," she said, nudging her seed closer to the book. "It's been waiting for you, Lila." Glimmer hovered, her wings casting rainbows, and added, "The next story's waiting. Keep dreaming." Finn tilted his head, his grin softer. "Dreamers, huh?" he said. "Guess I can handle that. But if this book starts assigning chores, I'm hiding." His tail wagged, his doubt fading in the library's warmth, though Lila knew he still wondered about the manor's reality. Bramble shuffled closer, his quills relaxed. "There's more to find," he said, his voice steady. "The book said the Manor's heart is alive. Maybe it's in another room." His words sparked a new idea in Lila's mind. The ballroom, a place the sketches had shown filled with dancers and light. Ember's glow flared, her voice bright. "A ballroom," she chirped, as if reading Lila's thoughts. "I bet it's sparkly. I'll light the chandeliers." She zipped to the door, her excitement contagious. Lila closed the book gently, its glow lingering on her hands. "Let's find the ballroom," she said, her voice firm with purpose. "The Manor's showing us the way." She tucked the sketches under her arm, the book's tales fueling her resolve, and led the group back to the corridor. The library's light followed them, the shelves seeming to whisper encouragement, and the Manor's heartbeat pulsed stronger, guiding them forward. As they stepped into the hall, Lila glimpsed the courtyard through a window, its flowers glowing in the twilight, swaying as if dancing. The ballroom waited, a place of light and movement, ready to reveal the next chapter of the Manor's story. The Manor's corridors glowed with a soft twilight, their stone walls catching the fading light as Lila led her friends from the library. The sketches and the magical book's tales weighed lightly in her arms, their stories of dreamers fueling her steps. Finn trotted beside her, his amber fur shimmering, his button eyes bright despite the lingering question of the Manor's reality. Clover bounded ahead, her gray ears flopping with uncontained excitement, while Bramble shuffled close, his quills catching the corridor's faint dust. Ember's green glow zipped above, illuminating faded tapestries, and Pip, Nutmeg, and Glimmer followed, their wings and paws a soft chorus against the Manor's heartbeat. The distant fountain's song and the brook's babble wove through the air, a gentle reminder of the magic they'd awakened. Lila's fingers brushed the locket in her pocket, its warmth a quiet guide. The library's note, "The Manor lives as long as dreamers create," echoed in her mind, and the ballroom, glimpsed in the sketches as a place of light and dance, felt like the next step. "It's this way," she said, nodding toward a grand arched doorway at the corridor's end, its frame carved with swirling patterns of stars and music notes. Clover hopped forward, her whiskers twitching. "A ballroom," she said, her voice sparkling. "I bet it's huge, with chandeliers and shiny floors. Maybe it dances on its own." Her enthusiasm drew smiles from the group, and Pip fluttered beside her, her sparrow wings catching Ember's glow. "Dancing floors?" Finn said, his grin crooked. "Hope they don't step on my paws." He glanced at Lila, his tail wagging, the Manor's magic easing his doubts, though she knew he still wondered if this was all a dream. Bramble's quills rustled, his voice soft. "Ballrooms are for celebrations," he said. "This one, it feels like it's waiting to shine again." His dark eyes met Lila's, and she nodded, sensing the same pulse in the air, as if the Manor was urging them forward. Ember darted toward the doorway, her glow illuminating its carvings. "I'll light the chandeliers," she chirped, her chime-like voice echoing. Nutmeg scurried alongside, her cheeks puffed with seeds, and Glimmer's dragonfly wings hummed, casting tiny rainbows on the stone. The doorway opened into a vast ballroom, its ceilings soaring with cracked frescoes of clouds and stars. A polished wood floor stretched beneath, scuffed and dusty, but gleaming faintly, as if remembering its former glory. Crystal chandeliers hung above, their prisms dulled by cobwebs, and tall windows lined one wall, their curtains tattered but letting in soft twilight. The far wall was shrouded in shadows, its surface hidden behind years of grime. The air was cool, scented with old wax and a faint trace of roses, and a grand piano stood in a corner, its keys yellowed but intact. "Wow," Lila whispered, stepping inside, her sneakers soft on the wood. The sketches under her arms seemed to hum, as if drawn to this place. She set them on a dusty table, its legs carved with vines, and looked around, her heart racing. Clover bounded to the piano, her paws brushing the keys. "It's like the music room, but bigger," she said, her ears perked. A soft note rang out, echoing in the vast space, and the chandeliers shivered, their crystals catching embers' glow. Finn sniffed the floor, his tail wagging. "Fancy," he said. "Bet this place saw some wild dances. Wonder if the piano plays itself too." He hopped onto a chair, his grin wide, though his eyes flicked to the shadowed wall, as if sensing something hidden. Bramble shuffled to the windows, his quills relaxed. "It's dusty," he said softly, "but it wants to be bright again." He nudged a curtain, and dust billowed, revealing a glimpse of the courtyard's glowing flowers outside. Ember hovered over a chandelier, her glow pulsing. "Let's clean it up," she chirped. "I'll light the crystals. Make 'em sparkle." She darted to another chandelier, her light scattering rainbows across the room. Pip landed on the piano, her feathers fluffed, and Nutmeg scurried to the table, dropping a seed beside the sketches. Glimmer hovered near the shadowed wall, her wings slowing. "There's something there," she said, her voice dreamy, "under the dust." Lila nodded, her pulse quickening. "Let's start cleaning," she said. "The piano, the floor, the windows, and that wall. I think it's important." She grabbed a tattered cloth from a chair, her resolve firm, the Manor's heartbeat urging her on. The group set to work, their movements a quiet dance of their own. Lila wiped the piano's keys, each one gleaming as the dust fell away, and tested a note, its sound clear and warm, echoing like a memory. Clover hopped to the windows, pulling curtains aside, her paws quick and precise, letting twilight flood the room. Bramble dug at the floor's edges, clearing debris and polishing scuffs with his quills, his focus steady. Ember's glow danced across the chandeliers, her light freeing their crystals from cobwebs, and they sparkled, casting prisms on the walls. Pip fluttered to the table, brushing dust from the sketches, while Nutmeg scurried across the floor, sweeping twigs and leaves into piles. Glimmer hovered by the shadowed wall, her wings stirring the air, and Lila joined her, cloth in hand. "Let's see what's here," she said, wiping the grime away. The wall began to reveal itself, a mural, its colors vibrant despite the years, depicting the Manor's history. The mural showed the greenhouse blooming with moonflowers, the music room alive with melody, the maze's fountains sparkling, and the pond reflecting stars. Dreamers danced in the ballroom, their gowns and instruments glowing, their creations weaving through every scene. A central figure, a woman with a locket like Lila's, stood in the courtyard, her hands raised as if conducting the Manor's magic. Words glowed beneath. "The heart of the Manor is creation. Dance, sing, dream, and it lives." Lila's breath caught, her fingers brushing the locket. "This is it," she said, her voice hushed. "The Manor's story, all in one place." She looked at her friends, their faces lit by the mural's glow, and felt a deep connection to the dreamers who had danced here. Clover's ears twitched, her energy soaring. "It's beautiful," she said, hopping to the mural. "We're part of this now. Look, the pond, the library." She pointed to the scenes, her paws dancing. Nutmeg's eyes shone, her voice soft. "The manor's alive because of you," she said, nudging her seed closer to Lila. "You're making it dance again." Pip chirped in agreement, fluttering to the piano, and Glimmer's wings cast rainbows on the mural, her voice dreamy. "The heart's here," she said, "but it needs more." Finn tilted his head, his grin wide. "So we're keeping the party going?" he said. "Guess I'm in. But if that mural starts dancing, I'm hiding." His tail wagged, his doubt nearly gone, the mural's vibrancy pulling him deeper into the manor's magic. Bramble shuffled to the piano, his quills relaxed. "The music," he said softly. "It's what ties it all together. Maybe you should play, Lila." His words sparked a memory of the music room, where her playing had awakened the manor's flowers. Lila nodded, her heart swelling. "You're right," she said, moving to the piano. "Let's make this room sing." She glanced at the mural, its scenes pulsing with life, and felt the manor's heartbeat, stronger now, urging her to play. The ballroom was ready, its dust and shadows fading, but the music would bring it fully to life. "Let's finish cleaning," she said, her voice firm. "Then I'll play. The manor's waiting." Clover bounded to the last dusty corner, her paws quick, while Bramble polished the floor and Ember lit the final chandelier. Pip, Nutmeg, and Glimmer cleared the remaining debris, their teamwork seamless, the ballroom gleaming like a jewel. As they worked, Lila glimpsed the courtyard's flowers through the windows, their glow brighter, swaying as if ready to dance. The piano waited, its keys gleaming, and she knew her music would awaken the manor's heart, tying every room and garden together. The ballroom gleamed under the twilight, its polished wood floor reflecting the chandelier's sparkling prisms. The mural on the far wall glowed softly, its scenes of dreamers and blooming gardens alive with color. The words, "The heart of the manor is creation," shimmering like a promise. Lila stood by the grand piano, its keys gleaming like polished ivory, her fingers tingling with anticipation. Finn lounged on a nearby chair, his amber fur catching the light, his button eyes wide with a mix of awe and lingering curiosity. Clover hopped in place, her gray ears flopping, while Bramble shuffled close, his quills relaxed and shimmering. Ember's green glow danced above, illuminating the mural's details, and Pip, Nutmeg, and Glimmer gathered near, their wings and paws still, as if sensing the moment's weight. The distant fountain's song and the brook's babble wove through the air, blending with the manor's heartbeat, now a steady, vibrant pulse. Lila's fingers brushed the locket in her pocket, its warmth a quiet anchor. The mural's message and the library's tales echoed in her mind. Every song, every dream fed the manor's heart. Her music had awakened the music room's flowers, and now in the ballroom she felt the manor waiting for her to play, to tie its rooms and gardens together. "This is it," she said softly, sitting at the piano bench. "Let's make the manor sing." Clover's whiskers twitched, her voice bright. "You've got this, Lila," she said, hopping closer. "It's going to be amazing, like the music room, but bigger." Her energy rallied the group, and Pip fluttered to the piano's edge, her feathers fluffed with excitement. Finn tilted his head, his grin wide. "No pressure, right?" he teased, but his tail wagged, his doubt nearly gone. "If this wakes up the whole manor, I'm taking credit for moral support." He leaned forward, his ears perked, ready for the magic. Bramble's quills quivered, his voice soft but certain. "The music's the key," he said, his dark eyes meeting Lila's. "It's what the manor's been waiting for." He settled near the piano, his shyness replaced by quiet confidence. Ember hovered above the keys, her glow pulsing. "Play, Lila," she chirped, her chime-like voice warm. "I'll light the way." Nutmeg scurried to the mural, dropping a seed at its base, her eyes shining, while Glimmer's dragonfly wings slowed, casting rainbows across the room. "The heart's ready," Glimmer said, her voice dreamy. Lila took a deep breath, the air scented with roses and polished wood, and let her fingers rest on the keys. She began to play the lullaby from the music room, its notes slow and deliberate, each one ringing clear in the vast ballroom. The piano's sound was richer here, deeper, as if drawing on the manor's history. The chandeliers shivered, their crystals sparkling brighter, and the mural's colors deepened, its flowers seeming to bloom. As Lila played, the manor responded. A soft glow spread from the piano, rippling across the floor like liquid light. The windows flared with color, their tattered curtains mending themselves, revealing the courtyard's flowers, now radiant with hues of gold and violet. The ballroom's frescoes brightened, clouds parting to reveal painted stars that twinkled in time with the music. The air grew warmer, filled with a melody that wasn't just Lila's, a chorus of violins and flutes from the music room. The fountain's sparkling notes, the pond's gentle ripples, all blending into a symphony of the manor's heart. Clover gasped, her ears twitching. "Look," she whispered, pointing to the mural. The dreamers in the painting began to move, their painted forms dancing gracefully, their instruments playing in harmony with Lila's music. The woman with the locket turned, her painted eyes meeting Lila's, and smiled as if passing the manor's care to her. Finn's jaw dropped, his tail still. "Okay, that's... wow," he said, his voice hushed. "You're making the whole place glow, Lila." He hopped off the chair, his doubt replaced by wonder, and trotted to the windows where the courtyard's flowers swayed like dancers. Bramble uncurled fully, his quills shimmering with reflected light. "It's alive," he said softly, his eyes wide. "The manor's heart. It's everywhere." He shuffled to the mural, his paws touching the glowing words, as if feeling the manor's pulse. Ember's glow flared, merging with the ballroom's light. "It's beautiful," she chirped, zipping to the ceiling, where the frescoes pulsed with starlight. Pip fluttered to the chandelier, her wings catching the prisms, while Nutmeg scurried to Lila's side, her seed forgotten, her eyes bright with joy. Glimmer hovered over the piano, her wings a soft hum, her voice dreamy. "You've done it," she said. "The manor's awake." Lila's fingers moved faster, the lullaby weaving into a new melody, one she felt rather than knew, a song of creation, of dreams, of the manor's renewed life. The glow spread beyond the ballroom through the corridors to the library where books shimmered on their shelves, to the music room where instruments played themselves, to the greenhouse where moonflowers bloomed in twilight, to the maze where the fountain sparkled brighter, to the pond where the magical boat glided in circles, its swan's head gleaming. The manor was a living tapestry, its rooms and gardens united by Lila's music, its magic vibrant and whole. The mural's dreamers paused, their painted forms bowing, and the woman with the locket raised her hand, a final note glowing. The manor is yours, dreamers. Keep creating. Lila's heart swelled, her music slowing, each note lingering like a farewell. As the final chord faded, the glow softened, but the manor remained alive, its colors vivid, its heartbeat steady, its rooms and gardens humming with magic. Lila lifted her hands from the keys, her breath steady, her eyes meeting her friends. "We did it," she said, her voice warm with awe. "The manor's awake because of us." She stood, the locket warm in her pocket, and joined her friends by the mural, their faces lit with pride. Clover hopped in a circle, her energy uncontained. "We're dreamers," she said, her ears flopping. "We made it shine." She bounded to the windows, where butterflies flitted among the flowers, drawn by the manor's light. Finn nudged Lila's leg, his grin wide. "Guess I'm a dreamer too," he said, his tail wagging. "Still not sure if this is real, but I'm glad I'm here." His doubt was a faint shadow now, overtaken by the manor's warmth. Bramble's quills relaxed, his voice soft. "It's home," he said, his eyes on the mural. "We brought it back." Pip chirped in agreement, fluttering to Lila's shoulder, while Nutmeg dropped another seed, her smile radiant. Glimmer's wings hummed, her voice dreamy. "The manor's heart is yours," she said. "Keep dreaming." Ember zipped down, her glow steady. "Best party ever," she chirped, hovering over the piano. "What's next, Lila? Another song?" Her light pulsed, as if ready for more. Lila laughed, her heart light. "Maybe later," she said, looking at the mural, its dreamers still and glowing. "For now, let's celebrate. We've given the manor its heart back." She glanced at the courtyard where the flowers danced and felt a quiet pull to reflect on their journey, to walk the manor's paths one more time before leaving it renewed. "Let's go outside," she said, leading the group to the door. "I want to see it all, the gardens, the pond, everything we've done." The ballroom's glow followed them, the mural's light a soft farewell, and the manor's heartbeat pulsed through the floor, a song of gratitude. As they stepped into the corridor, the manor's rooms and gardens shimmered beyond, alive with magic, waiting for their final walk through its renewed heart. The manor's corridors shimmered with a gentle glow, their stone walls reflecting the vibrant light that pulsed from every room and garden. Lila led her friends through the entrance hall, the sketches and book from the library left behind in the ballroom, their stories now part of her heart. Finn trotted beside her, his amber fur gleaming, his button eyes bright with a quiet acceptance of the manor's magic. Clover bounded ahead, her gray ears flopping with joy, while Bramble shuffled close, his quills sparkling like tiny stars. Ember's green glow danced above, illuminating the hall's restored tapestries, and Pip, Nutmeg, and Glimmer followed, their wings and paws a soft symphony against the manor's steady heartbeat. The fountain's song and the brook's babble wove through the air, a melody of gratitude as the manor basked in its renewed life. Lila's fingers brushed the locket in her pocket, its warmth a reminder of their journey, from the overgrown greenhouse to the glowing ballroom, each step a dream woven into the manor's heart. The mural's words, The manor is yours, dreamers. Keep creating, echoed in her mind, and she felt a quiet pull to see the manor one last time, to reflect on what they'd done before leaving its magic behind. Let's walk through it all, she said, her voice soft but certain. The gardens, the pond, the rooms, everything we brought back. Clover's whiskers twitched, her energy uncontained. Yes, she said, hopping toward the courtyard door. I want to see the flowers dance again. Her excitement rallied the group, and Pip fluttered beside her, her sparrow wings catching the light. Finn grinned, his tail wagging. One last tour, huh? He said. Guess I'm in. Gotta make sure this place is real before we go. His doubt was a faint whisper now, overtaken by the manor's warmth, and he nudged Lila's leg, his step light. Bramble's quills relaxed, his voice soft. It's like saying goodbye to a friend, he said, his dark eyes meeting Lila's. But it's happy now. He shuffled forward, his shyness replaced by a quiet pride in their work. Ember zipped ahead, her glow pulsing. I'll light the way, she chirped, her chime-like voice bright. Nutmeg scurried alongside, her cheeks puffed with seeds, and Glimmer's dragonfly wings hummed, casting rainbows on the walls. The manor's yours forever, Glimmer said, her voice dreamy. Even when you leave. The courtyard greeted them with a burst of color, its flowers, roses, lilies, moonflowers, blooming in radiant hues, their petals swaying as if dancing to an unseen melody. Butterflies flitted among them, their wings catching the twilight, and the fountain in the center sparkled, its stone fish spouting clear water that reflected the sky's pinks and golds. Lila paused, her heart swelling. We started here, she said, touching a rose. The flowers were asleep, but we woke them. Clover bounded to the fountain, splashing her paws in the water. It's so pretty now, she said, her ears flopping. Like it's singing. Pip landed on the fountain's edge, chirping in agreement, while Nutmeg dropped a seed among the flowers, her smile radiant. Finn sniffed the air, his tail wagging. Smells like magic, he said. Guess I'm not just a stuffed fox anymore. He glanced at Lila, his grin soft, and she laughed, ruffling his fur. They moved to the greenhouse, its glass walls gleaming, its interior a jungle of glowing herbs and flowers. Moonflowers pulsed with soft light, their vines curling around trellises, and the air was sweet with mint and lavender. Lila remembered the locked chest, the key that started their journey, and felt a pang of gratitude. This was where we learned to dream, she said, her voice hushed. Bramble shuffled to a glowing flower, his quills reflecting its light. It's alive because we cared, he said softly, his paws touching the soil. Ember hovered above, her glow blending with the moonflowers, and Glimmer's wings hummed, her voice dreamy. You planted dreams here, she said. The maze came next, its hedges lush and green, their paths clear and inviting. The fountain at its heart sparkled, its starburst stones gleaming under the flowing water, and the air was cool, scented with wet stone and wildflowers. Clover hopped to the fountain, her paws splashing. We found the heart here, she said, her eyes bright. Pip fluttered above, and Nutmeg scurried to the stones, her seed a small offering. Finn tilted his head, his grin wide. Never thought I'd like a maze, he said. But this one's not bad. He trotted beside Lila, his step light, the manor's magic now a part of him. The pond was a mirror for the stars, its surface smooth, the magical boat gliding gently, its swan's head glowing. Lila knelt at the water's edge, remembering the chest's sketches, the stories of dreamers who sailed here. "This showed us the Manor's past," she said, her fingers trailing in the water, "and our place in it." Glimmer hovered over the boat, her wings casting rainbows. "You're dreamers too," she said. "The pond reflects your hearts." Ember's glow illuminated the water, and Pip chirped, landing on Lila's shoulder, her feathers soft. Inside, the music room hummed with melody, its instruments gleaming, playing soft notes as if welcoming them back. The library's shelves glowed, its books shimmering with untold stories, and the ballroom's mural pulsed, its dreamers smiling as if proud. Lila paused in each room, her heart full, the Manor's heartbeat blending with her own. "We brought it all back," she said, her voice warm. "Every room, every garden, it's alive because we dreamed." Finn nudged her, his grin soft. "You're pretty good at this dreamer stuff," he said. "Guess I'll stick with you, real or not." His tail wagged, his doubt gone, replaced by a quiet joy. Clover hopped to Lila's side, her energy softening. "Can we come back?" she asked, her ears drooping slightly. "I don't want it to end." Her words echoed Lila's own feelings, and she knelt, smiling. "We'll carry it with us," Lila said, touching the locket. "The Manor's magic is in our dreams now. We can create anywhere." Clover's ears perked, her smile returning, and Pip chirped, fluttering to a window. Bramble's quills shimmered, his voice steady. "It's not goodbye," he said. "The Manor's always here, waiting for more dreamers." Nutmeg nodded, dropping one last seed, and Glimmer's wings hummed, her voice dreamy. "You're its heart now," she said. Ember zipped down, her glow steady. "Keep shining," she chirped, hovering over Lila. "Like me." Her light pulsed, a final gift, and Lila laughed, her heart light. They stepped into the courtyard, the Manor's glow softening as twilight deepened. The flowers swayed, the fountain sparkled, and the air was warm, scented with roses and possibility. Lila looked at her friends, their faces radiant, and felt the Manor's magic settle in her chest, a spark she'd carry forever. "Thank you," she said, her voice soft, "for dreaming with me." Finn grinned, his tail wagging. "Any time, dreamer," he said, nudging her. The animals gathered close, their warmth a quiet farewell, and Lila led them to the Manor's gate, its iron now gleaming, open to the world beyond. They stepped through, the Manor's light lingering behind, its heartbeat a distant song, promising new dreams. As they walked into the twilight, Lila glanced back, the Manor glowing like a star. She smiled, the locket warm, knowing its magic would live in every story, every song, every dream they created next. The twilight deepened as Lila and her friends walked away from the Manor, its glowing silhouette fading into the valley's embrace. The path ahead was soft with grass, winding through wildflowers that nodded in the evening breeze, their petals catching the last light of day. Lila's sneakers crunched lightly, the locket in her pocket warm against her side, its etched flower a quiet reminder of the Manor's heart. Finn trotted beside her, his amber fur dusted with starlight, his button eyes gleaming with a newfound certainty. Clover hopped ahead, her gray ears flopping, her energy undimmed by their farewell. Bramble shuffled close, his quills shimmering softly, while Ember's green glow danced above, illuminating the path. Pip, Nutmeg, and Glimmer followed, their wings and paws a gentle rhythm, their presence a bond forged in the Manor's magic. The distant song of the fountain lingered, a faint melody that seemed to whisper, "Keep dreaming." Lila's heart was full, the Manor's rooms and gardens vivid in her mind, the greenhouse's moonflowers, the maze's fountain, the pond's magical boat, the ballroom's glowing mural. Each step they'd taken, each note played, had woven them into the Manor's story, and though they'd left its gates, its magic pulsed within them, a spark of creation ready to bloom. "It's strange," she said, her voice soft, "leaving it behind, but it feels like it's still with us." Finn glanced at her, his grin wide. "You're telling me," he said, his tail wagging, "I'm a talking fox who just saved a magic manor. That's not something you forget." His doubt had vanished, replaced by a playful pride, and he nudged her leg. "So what's next, dreamer? Gonna build your own manor?" Lila laughed, ruffling his fur. "Maybe not a manor," she said, "but something. The manor showed us how to create. Music, stories, gardens. I want to keep doing that." Her words carried a quiet resolve, the locket's warmth fueling her thoughts of new dreams. Clover bounded back, her whiskers twitching. "I'm going to make a garden," she said, her ears perked, "with flowers that glow like the greenhouse ones, and I'll tell everyone about the manor." Her enthusiasm was infectious, and Pip fluttered down, landing on her back. "I'll sing about it," Pip chirped, her voice bright. "Songs for the fountain, the pond, the ballroom, the world needs to hear." Her wings caught the twilight, shimmering with possibility. Bramble's quills relaxed, his voice steady. "I'll plant things too," he said softly, his dark eyes on the wildflowers. "Little places for dreamers to rest, like the manor was." He shuffled closer to Lila, his shyness now a quiet strength, his role in their journey clear. Ember zipped above, her glow pulsing. "I'll light up stories," she chirped, her chime-like voice warm. "Every night I'll glow for someone's ideas, like I did for the chandeliers." She darted to Nutmeg, who scurried alongside, her cheeks puffed with seeds. "I'll share seeds," Nutmeg said, her eyes shining. "Everyone a piece of the manor's heart. They'll grow dreams anywhere." She dropped a seed into the grass, a small promise to the world. Glimmer's dragonfly wings hummed, her voice dreamy. "The manor's magic is in you now," she said, hovering over Lila. "Every creation you make will carry its light." Her wings cast rainbows on the path, a final gift of the manor's beauty. They reached a clearing, the valley opening before them, its hills soft under the emerging stars. Lila paused, looking back at the manor's distant glow, a beacon in the twilight. She thought of the dreamers who'd come before, their songs and sketches feeding the manor's heart, and felt a deep connection to them. "We're part of their story," she said, her voice hushed. "And we're starting our own." Finn tilted his head, his grin soft. "Guess I'm not waking up as a toy after all," he said, his tail wagging. "This dreamer stuff, it's real. I'm going to tell stories too. Maybe about a certain fox who's pretty great." He winked, and Lila laughed, her heart light. Clover hopped in a circle, her energy softening. "I'll miss it," she said, her ears drooping slightly. "The maze, the boat, the piano. But you're right, Lila. It's in us." She nuzzled Lila's hand, her warmth a reminder of their bond. Lila knelt, gathering her friends close. "We'll never lose it," she said, her fingers brushing the locket. "The manor taught us to dream, to create together. We'll make new places, new stories, and they'll shine like it did." Her words were a promise, and the animals nodded, their faces radiant with shared purpose. Pip fluttered to a nearby tree, her song rising, a melody of the manor's magic that carried on the breeze. Nutmeg scattered more seeds, each one a spark of possibility, while Bramble dug a small patch, his paws gentle, preparing the earth for dreams. Ember's glow flared, lighting the clearing, and Glimmer hovered, her wings a soft hum, weaving rainbows into the night. Lila stood, her heart swelling as she looked at her friends, their light a reflection of the manor's heart. She imagined the creations they'd make, gardens, songs, stories, all carrying the manor's spark. The path ahead led to her village, to school, to everyday life, but it felt different now, alive with potential. "Let's keep dreaming," she said, her voice warm. "For the manor, for us." Finn trotted forward, his grin wide. "Lead the way, dreamer," he said, his tail wagging. "I'm ready for the next adventure." The animals followed, their steps light, their warmth a quiet vow to carry the manor's magic forward. As they walked into the night, the stars above mirrored the manor's glow, each one a dream waiting to be born. Lila glanced back one last time, the manor's light a soft farewell, and smiled, the locket warm against her side. The world was theirs to create, and the manor's heart would live in every note, every flower, every story they shared. The village lay nestled in the valley's curve, its thatched roofs and cobblestone paths bathed in the soft glow of early morning. Lila walked at the head of her friends, her sneakers scuffing lightly against the stones, the locket in her pocket a warm spark of the manor's magic. Finn trotted beside her, his amber fur catching the dawn's light, his button eyes alight with mischief and purpose. Clover bounded ahead, her gray ears flopping, her energy weaving through the village's quiet streets. Bramble shuffled close, his quills shimmering with dew, while Ember's green glow hovered above, illuminating the wildflowers that lined the path. Pip, Nutmeg, and Glimmer followed, their wings and paws a gentle rhythm, their presence a reminder of the manor's heart they carried. The air was cool, scented with fresh earth and baking bread, and though the manor's fountain song was distant, its melody lingered in Lila's thoughts, urging her to create. The manor's glow had faded behind the hills, but its magic pulsed within them, a legacy of dreams woven through the greenhouse's flowers, the pond's boat, the ballroom's mural. Lila's heart was alight with possibility, the mural's words, "The manor is yours, dreamers. Keep creating." A call to action. She'd promised her friends they'd carry the manor's spark, and now, in the village, she felt the stirrings of their first creation. "Let's start something here," she said, her voice soft but firm, pausing by a small, overgrown patch near the village square. A garden, like the manor's, and a place to share its stories. Clover's whiskers twitched, her eyes wide. "A garden!" she exclaimed, hopping to the patch, her paws stirring the soil. "With glowing flowers and a fountain maybe, and we'll tell everyone about the manor." Her enthusiasm rippled through the group, and Pip fluttered down, her sparrow wings brushing the weeds. "I'll sing the stories," Pip chirped, her voice bright. "The maze, the piano, the dreamers, everyone will listen." She landed on a stone, her song already forming, a melody of the Manor's magic. Finn tilted his head, his grin crooked. "A garden, huh? Guess I can dig a little," he said, his tail wagging. "But I'm mostly here for the storytelling. Got some epic fox tales to share." He nudged Lila, his doubt long gone, replaced by a playful eagerness to create. Bramble's quills relaxed, his voice steady. "I'll help with the soil," he said softly, shuffling to the patch. "It needs care, like the greenhouse did." His dark eyes met Lila's, his quiet strength a reminder of their journey, and he began digging, his paws gentle but sure. Embers zipped above, her glow pulsing. "I'll light it up," she chirped, her chime-like voice warm. "Every flower, every story, my glow's perfect for this." She darted to Nutmeg, who scurried to the patch, her cheeks puffed with seeds. "These will grow dreams," Nutmeg said, her eyes shining, dropping seeds into Bramble's furrows. "Like the Manor's heart, but for the village." Her small offering felt vast, a promise of new beginnings. Glimmer's dragonfly wings hummed, her voice dreamy. "This is your manor now," she said, hovering over Lila. "A place for dreamers to gather, to create." Her wings cast rainbows on the soil, a spark of the manor's beauty. Lila knelt by the patch, her fingers sinking into the earth, cool and rich. The village square was quiet, its fountain, a simple stone basin, gurgling softly, its water catching the dawn. She imagined the patch transformed, moonflowers glowing, wildflowers swaying, a small bench for storytelling, where children and elders could hear of the manor's magic. "This is where we start," she said, her heart swelling. "A garden for dreams, a circle for stories." The group set to work, their movements a quiet echo of their manor tasks. Lila cleared weeds, her hands steady, the locket's warmth fueling her resolve. Clover hopped between rows, her paws arranging stones to mark paths, her energy boundless. Bramble dug furrows, his quills dusting the soil with dew, while Nutmeg planted seeds, each one a piece of the manor's legacy. Pip fluttered above, her song weaving through the air, drawing curious glances from villagers passing by. A baker, a weaver, a child with wide eyes. Finn batted at a clod of dirt, his grin wide. "Not bad for a morning's work," he said, his tail wagging. "Bet this place'll glow like the manor by tonight." He nudged a stone into place, his playfulness blending with purpose. Ember's glow danced over the patch, illuminating the first sprouts, tiny green shoots already breaking the soil, as if the manor's magic hastened their growth. "Look at that," she chirped, zipping to Lila. "It's alive already." Her light caught the fountain's water, scattering prisms across the square. Glimmer hovered by the stones, her wings slowing. "It's a new heart," she said, her voice dreamy. "For the village, for dreamers." Her rainbows shimmered, and Lila felt the manor's pulse in the earth, a quiet echo of its heartbeat. As the sun climbed, villagers gathered, drawn by Pip's song and the patch's transformation. The child approached, her pigtails bouncing, and Lila smiled, kneeling. "Want to hear a story?" she asked, her voice warm. The child nodded, and Lila began, her words painting the manor's gardens, its glowing rooms, its dreamers who created beauty. Finn chimed in, his tale of a brave fox making the child laugh, while Clover added details of the dancing flowers, her ears flopping. The baker set down his tray, listening, and the weaver nodded, her hands still as Lila described the murals' dreamers. "It's like our village could be," the weaver said, her voice soft. "A place for making things." Lila nodded, her heart light, the manor's magic spreading through her words. By midday, the patch was a small garden, its sprouts glowing faintly, its stones forming a circle for stories. The fountain seemed brighter, its water reflecting the sky, and the villagers lingered, their faces alight with ideas. Lila stood, her hands earthy, the locket warm. "This is just the beginning," she said to her friends, their faces radiant. "We'll keep creating gardens, songs, stories, the manors with us." Clover hopped to the fountain, her paws splashing. "It's perfect," she said, her eyes bright. "Our own manor heart." Pip's song soared, and Nutmeg dropped one last seed, her smile wide. Finn grinned, nudging Lila. "You're trouble dreamer," he said, his tail wagging. "Starting magic wherever you go. I'm sticking with you." His warmth was a promise, and Lila laughed, ruffling his fur. Bramble shuffled to her side, his quills shimmering. "It's home," he said softly, his eyes on the garden. "Like the manor, but new." Ember's glow flared, and Glimmer's wings hummed, their voices blending. "Keep dreaming," they said, their light a spark for the future. Lila looked at the garden, the villagers, her friends, and felt the manor's magic settle deeper, a flame that would grow with every creation. The village was alive with possibility, and as the sun warmed the square, she knew their dreams would shine, carrying the manor's heart forever. The village square hummed with life as the midday sun warmed the cobblestones, casting soft shadows over the newly planted garden. Lila stood at its edge, her hands still dusted with earth, the locket in her pocket glowing faintly with the manor's magic. The garden was small but vibrant, its sprouts shimmering with an otherworldly light, their delicate green tips swaying as if whispering secrets from the manor's heart. Finn lounged on a stone bench nearby, his amber fur gleaming, his button eyes sparkling with mischief. Clover hopped between the garden's stone paths, her gray ears flopping, her energy drawing smiles from the gathered villagers. Bramble shuffled through the soil, his quills catching the sun, while Ember's green glow danced above, illuminating the sprouts. Pip, Nutmeg, and Glimmer moved among the crowd, their wings and paws a gentle rhythm, their presence a spark of the manor's legacy. The village fountain gurgled brightly, its water reflecting the sky, and the air was rich with the scent of fresh soil, wildflowers, and possibility. Lila's heart swelled as she looked at the garden, its faint glow a mirror of the manor's greenhouse, its stone circle a nod to the ballroom's mural. The manor's words, "The manor is yours, dreamers. Keep creating," pulsed within her, and the villagers' growing interest fueled her resolve. The baker, the weaver, the pigtailed child, and others lingered, their faces lit with curiosity, drawn by Pip's songs and the stories of the manor. "This garden's just the start," Lila said, her voice warm but clear, addressing her friends in the crowd. "Let's make it grow. More flowers, more stories, more dreams. Everyone can help." Clover's whiskers twitched, her eyes bright. "Yes!" she exclaimed, hopping to a villager with a basket of herbs. "You could plant those here and tell us about them." Her enthusiasm was contagious, and the villager, a woman with flour-dusted hands, smiled, kneeling to place her herbs among the sprouts. Pip fluttered above, her song rising, a melody of the Manor's pond and its magical boat. "Share your stories," she chirped, landing on the fountain's edge. "We'll sing them together." Her voice drew a young boy who clutched a wooden flute, his eyes wide with shy excitement. Finn grinned, stretching on the bench. "This place is turning into a regular manor," he said, his tail wagging. "I'm gonna need a bigger audience for my foxtails." He hopped down, nudging the boy with the flute. "You play that thing? Bet it'd sound good with Pip singing." The boy nodded, lifting the flute, a tentative note blending with Pip's melody. Bramble's quills shimmered, his voice soft but steady. "The soil's ready," he said, digging a new furrow near the fountain. "For anyone's plants, anyone's dreams." His quiet strength grounded the group, and an elderly man approached, his hands clutching a bundle of lavender, which he offered to Bramble with a nod. Ember zipped over the garden, her glow pulsing. "Look at it shine," she chirped, her chime-like voice warm. "Every plant, every story, it's like the Manor's chandeliers." Her light caught the lavender, making it glow, and she darted to Nutmeg, who scurried through the crowd, her cheeks puffed with seeds. "These are for everyone," Nutmeg said, her eyes shining, handing seeds to the pigtailed child. "Plant them, and they'll grow like the Manor's heart." The child giggled, scattering seeds with delight, her small hands mirroring Nutmeg's care. Glimmer's dragonfly wings hummed, her voice dreamy. "This is a new haven," she said, hovering over the stone circle, "for dreamers, old and new." Her rainbows danced across the sprouts, and Lila felt the Manor's pulse in the garden, a living echo of its magic. The villagers joined the effort, their movements a quiet dance of creation. The baker planted rosemary, her hands steady, and shared a tale of her grandmother's bread, which Lila wove into the Manor's story. The weaver brought dyed threads, weaving them into a small tapestry hung on a nearby tree, its colors echoing the mural's vibrancy. The boy's flute notes grew bolder, harmonizing with Pip's song, and the elderly man's lavender filled the air with a soothing scent, blending with the garden's glow. Lila knelt by the fountain, arranging stones to form a small stage for storytelling. She imagined evenings here, the garden blooming, villagers sharing songs, crafts, and dreams, each one a thread in the Manor's legacy. "This is what the Manor taught us," she said, her voice carrying over the crowd. "To create together, to make something alive." The locket warmed, and she felt the dreamers' presence, their smiles in the mural now mirrored in the villagers' faces. A young woman with a sketchbook approached, her pencil moving across the page, capturing the garden's glow. "I saw it," she said shyly, showing Lila her drawing, a sketch of the Manor's fountain, its water sparkling. "In a dream last night, your stories made it real." Lila's breath caught, the Manor's magic reaching further than she'd imagined, and she smiled, touching the sketch. "Add it to our circle," Lila said, gesturing to the stone stage. "Every dream counts." The woman nodded, her sketchbook a new chapter, and Lila felt the Manor's heart beat stronger, its light spreading through the village. Clover hopped to the stage, her paws tapping. "Let's tell a story now," she said, her ears flopping. She began, her voice bright, recounting the maze's fountain, its starburst stones gleaming. Finn joined, his tale of a clever fox making the crowd laugh, while Pip's song wove through, the flute boy adding notes that danced in the air. Bramble shuffled to Lila, his quills relaxed. "It's growing," he said softly, his eyes on the garden, "like we did in the manor." His words were a quiet vow, and Nutmeg nodded, dropping a seed by the stage, her smile radiant. Ember's glow flared, illuminating the tapestry's colors. "It's a party," she chirped, zipping to the fountain. "Like the ballroom, but for everyone." Glimmer hovered, her wings casting rainbows. "The manor's here," she said, her voice dreamy, "in every creation." As the sun reached its peak, the garden shimmered, its sprouts taller, its glow brighter, as if the manor's magic flowed through the villagers' hands and hearts. The crowd grew, children planting flowers, elders sharing tales, artisans adding crafts, a carved bird, a woven basket, a painted stone. The square was alive, a new haven for dreamers, its fountain sparkling like the manor's, its stories a chorus of creation. Lila stood, her heart full, the locket a steady warmth. "We're building something new," she said to her friends, their faces lit with pride. "A place for dreams, just like the manor." The villagers' voices rose, their stories blending, and Lila knew this was only the beginning, the manor's heart thriving in every seed, every song. Finn nudged her, his grin wide. "You're starting a revolution, dreamer," he said, his tail wagging. "Guess I'll keep up." The animals gathered close, their warmth a promise, and Lila smiled, the village alive with the manor's magic, ready for new dreams to bloom. The village square glowed under the twilight, its cobblestone paths alive with the soft shimmer of the garden, now in full bloom. Moonflowers and wildflowers wove through the soil, their petals pulsing with a gentle light that echoed the manor's greenhouse, their fragrance blending with the village fountain's mist. Lila stood at the heart of the stone circle, her sneakers dusted with pollen, the locket in her pocket warm with the manor's magic. Finn sprawled on a carved bench, his amber fur catching the glow, his button eyes sparkling with pride. Clover hopped among the flowers, her gray ears flopping, her energy lighting up the crowd. Bramble shuffled through the garden, his quills shimmering like stars, while Ember's green glow danced above, illuminating tapestries and crafts hung on nearby trees. Pip, Nutmeg, and Glimmer moved through the villagers, their wings and paws a gentle rhythm, their presence a spark of the manor's heart. The fountain sang, its water reflecting the stars, and the air was rich with laughter, music, and the promise of dreams. The garden had grown beyond Lila's hopes, its sprouts now vibrant blooms, its stone paths winding through patches of lavender, rosemary, and glowing herbs planted by the villagers. The storytelling circle, marked by a small stage, hummed with stories, songs, and crafts, a woven tapestry, a carved bird, a painted stone, each a thread in the manor's legacy. Tonight, the village had gathered for a festival, inspired by Lila's stories and the garden's magic, to celebrate their creations and the community they'd built. Lila's heart swelled, the mural's words. "The manor is yours, dreamers. Keep creating, alive in every flower, every voice." "This is it," she said, her voice warm, addressing her friends and the crowd. "Our dreams together, shining like the manor." Clover bounded to the stage, her whiskers twitching. "It's a party," she exclaimed, her eyes bright. Like the ballroom, but bigger. Let's dance, sing, tell stories. Her energy drew cheers, and a group of children followed her, their hands full of flower crowns they'd woven from the garden's blooms. Pip fluttered above, her song soaring, a melody of the Manor's pond and its gliding boat. Let's share everything, she chirped, landing on a tapestry's edge. Her voice blended with the flute boy's notes, now confident, weaving through the air like a thread of light. A young girl with a drum joined, her rhythm pulsing with Pip's song, filling the square with music. Finn grinned, hopping to the stage. Time for a foxtale, he said, his tail wagging, about a certain hero who saved a manor, and maybe this garden too. His playful story of outwitting maze hedges made the crowd laugh, and he winked at Lila, his pride in their journey clear. Bramble's quills shimmered, his voice soft but steady. The garden's alive, he said, kneeling by a moonflower, because everyone dreamed. He offered a bundle of lavender to an elder, who smiled, adding it to a wreath. His quiet strength anchored the festival, a reminder of their care for the Manor's heart. Ember zipped through the crowd, her glow pulsing. It's sparkling, she chirped, her chime-like voice warm. Like the chandeliers, but for everyone. Her light caught the flower crowns, making them glow, and she darted to Nutmeg, who scurried among the children, her cheeks puffed with seeds. Plant these tomorrow, Nutmeg said, her eyes shining, handing seeds to the pigtailed child. More dreams, more gardens. The child nodded, clutching the seeds, her smile a spark of the Manor's magic. Glimmer's dragonfly wings hummed, her voice dreamy. This is the Manor's heart, reborn, she said, hovering over the stage, a haven for all dreamers. Her rainbows danced across the flowers, and Lila felt the Manor's pulse in the garden, its magic woven into every creation. The villagers joined the celebration, their contributions a symphony of dreams. The baker shared loaves scented with rosemary, each bite a story of her grandmother's kitchen, while the weaver hung a new tapestry, its threads depicting the village square aglow with flowers and light. The young woman with the sketchbook displayed her drawings, scenes of the Manor's fountain, its ballroom, its dreamers, each one sparking gasps from the crowd. An old man played a fiddle, his notes blending with the flute and drum, and children danced, their flower crowns glowing under Ember's light. Lila stepped to the stage, her heart full, the locket a steady warmth. She began a story, her voice clear, painting the Manor's rooms and gardens, the greenhouse's moonflowers, the maze's fountain, the ballroom's mural. She wove in the villagers' tales, their herbs, their crafts, their music, making them part of the Manor's legacy. We're all dreamers, she said, her eyes meeting the crowd's. This garden, this festival, it's our Manor, built together. The locket glowed, and she felt the dreamers' presence, their smiles in the mural now alive in the villagers' joy. A girl with a flute approached, her eyes shy but bright. I wrote a song, she said, lifting her instrument, for the Manor. Lila nodded, and the girl played, her notes soft but soaring, echoing the fountain's song. Pip joined, her voice harmonizing, and the crowd grew quiet, the music a bridge between the village and the Manor's heart. Clover hopped to Lila's side, her energy softening. It's perfect, she said, her ears flopping, like we brought the Manor here. She nuzzled Lila's hand, her warmth a reminder of their bond, and Lila smiled, ruffling her fur. Finn nudged her, his grin wide. "You did it, dreamer," he said, his tail wagging. "Turned a village into a magic show. What's next?" His playful challenge sparked laughter, and Lila felt the manor's magic settle deeper, a flame that would never fade. Bramble shuffled close, his quills relaxed. "It's home," he said softly, his eyes on the garden. "For everyone." His words were a quiet vow, and Nutmeg nodded, dropping a seed by the fountain, her smile radiant. Ember's glow flared, illuminating the tapestries. "Best festival ever," she chirped, zipping to the sky. "I'm lighting up the stars next." Glimmer hovered, her wings casting rainbows. "The manor lives here," she said, her voice dreamy. "In every dream." As the twilight deepened, the garden shone brighter, its flowers a constellation of light, its stories a chorus of creation. The villagers danced, their laughter mingling with the music, their crafts and songs a tapestry of dreams. The fountain sparkled, its water reflecting the stars, and Lila stood among her friends, their faces radiant, the manor's heart alive in the village. She looked at the garden, the crowd, the glowing blooms, and knew this was the manor's true legacy. A community of dreamers, creating together, their light spreading far beyond the valley. "Thank you," she said, her voice soft, to her friends, the villagers, the manor itself. The locket warmed, a final gift, and Lila smiled, the festival a promise of dreams to come. The music soared, the flowers danced, and the village glowed. A new manor heart, forever alive with the magic of creation.